see how it's the Yahtzee thing, but also I could agree that it's just MAGA propaganda being pushed too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enemy Charlie is going to attempt to make the case.
Mhm.
I don't think you feel strongly about it, right, Charlie? You're not like, yes, this is terrible. But you're, oh, you're
Oh,
muted or
I hear you.
something on your end. It looks like because it looks good on our end. Um, there we go. We got all of us. There we go. Loverly. Um, hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Hey, Charlie.
Hello. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good stance to have because I think we needed somebody that was in the neutral side of things. And Joe, I don't know if you've met everyone here. Hello, I'm Sarah. We've got Soy Pill up above. We got Ryan, the Radical Coder, on the other up above. We got Enemy Charlie next to you, and then there's you.
Yeah, probably in different levels of capacity. I've been around for like a year, so
That's fair.
I do
I
remember. I remember names more than faces than anything else.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's a fair assessment. I am what they would consider the more conservative right winger moderator in these streets. But my lefties are my favorite people to have on. So they're always
It
the
makes you a
nicer
lot of
ones.
money.
Well, but you guys are always so nice. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there have been a
That's because
few.
you're nice. You know, if you were a mean
Oh,
conservative, I'd be a lot less nice to you.
well,
You're a very sweet and accommodating conservative.
I give the space. I'm happy to give the space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Joe and Charlie, I don't think you're familiar with Throwdown Thursday either. I know these two are. They're very
I
familiar
explained it to
with
her
it.
kind of. I think she gets it.
Veterans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, essentially, normally I only have one guest feature for the beginning, and we run through about an hour's worth of discussion. Then I open the panel and it gets crazy. However, I
Hello everyone. Hello YouTube and Twitch. I am streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. Exciting stuff. Hopefully the streams work. I hope, I pray. Welcome. So I'll be trying to bounce between the chats. Once the debate is over, I'm gonna stop streaming on Twitch probably. Or I'm gonna stop streaming on YouTube and also, oh, my bad, sorry. I'm so sorry. My bad. Okay, hold on. I need to set up the debate itself. Oops. Okay, hold on. We got Harley Quinn on the screen? Anyway. I'll tap back in once it's time. Oh, she got a new... Anyway, so the point of this is I'm on the Raging Tomato right now, debating whether or not we're talking about the Sydney Sweeney ad. Is it a dog whistle? Is it not? Let's find out together. I'm streaming while the sun is out. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this insane? Ooh, spinny dress. It's actually a skirt. Skirt and tank top combo. Well, we'll see. That's pretty much my view, is that I think it's like I do think it's just like, you know, poorly worded. Pale and sickly. Hi, Biggly Wiggly. Oh, we're in.
Is it racism? Is it this? Is it that? Is
Never
it
actually do
all of
this.
this
Like, ever.
crazy stuff
But,
going on? And I thought,
I
man, I
think
can't
it's
just
really
have
important
one
for people
person
to
on
see
with this
how
type
words
of
actually
opinion. I
affect
had to
people.
go
And
all
I know
out.
everyone
So, of
says, like, you
course,
can't read
I am
things and
bringing
you
back
shouldn't read
all of
things, but, like,
your
I'm a fucking
favorites. I
person.
brought back the
I'm
soy
just sitting
pill. I
here with my
brought
dog
Ryan the
Tiff
Radical
watching
Coder, our
HGTV
favorite
and playing
regular.
with
He's been here
Stuffy,
since
like,
before this was even a channel, by the way. So screw
I
all
don't
of
know.
you. Enemy Charlie, newest to the channel, of course, the absolute fresh meat for all of you. We've got Joe Lewis. He's probably a little nervous when I say that. But I'm super excited to kick this off. And I just want to do one thing real quick. Just a big shout out to Jess Gerald.
Sorry, I was watching a clip of Sydney Sweeney's recent live.
Right now, and that's just how it's going to work, right? Apparently so. But a shout out to you, Jess. I hope you enjoy your time away from the screen later. All right. So the topic is the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney ad is a Yahtzee propaganda. We're going to do our best to use our words wisely, but we're going to make some boo boos here or there. I can see that. Ryan, why don't you kick us off? I know you got a full blown statement ready to go.
I certainly do. Now, I initially, I when I heard about this topic, or when I first heard about the commercial, I was a little neutral, and the more I thought about it, the more I dug into it, the more confident I felt in the proposition that we're discussing tonight. So, um, I expect early on, surprisingly, I think you're likely going to concede actually pretty quickly once I lay this out. So let's kind of walk through it. I have two like core checkpoints that I want to as like a sanity check that I want to kind of walk through. And I think if we agree on both of these core checkpoints, which I really think we all will, then I think the conclusion is pretty indisputable. So let's start with checkpoint one. Do we all agree that Nazi propaganda explicitly, I already said it, sorry, explicitly constructed a racial hierarchy, placing the so-called Aryan ideal, which was blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair features, at the very top of this racial hierarchy? Because this was basically central to the Yahtzee ideology and to their core ideology. It was kind of like a visual shorthand for purity in their propaganda. And checkpoint 2 is if we all agree that their ideology was rooted in eugenics, specifically the belief that some people had good genes, other people had bad genes, and that these categories were used to justify political, biological, and moral judgments. Because, I mean, this isn't like some crazy academic theory stuff. I think this is all like high school level history about World War II. This is like a pretty established, pretty clear propaganda where that they obsessively promoted an inherited superiority as a marker of human worth. This was like foundational to their worldview. The bloodlines, the purity, selective breeding, and basically who deserved to thrive, or who deserved to thrive based on all that. I think if we align on just those two things, then the conversation around the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad becomes a lot harder to dismiss, because what we're looking at is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman with a retro educational narration and a campaign built around the phrase "great genes." And yeah, it's a pun, but it's marketing that happens to overlap perfectly with the ideology in question, and it's a near perfect echo of it, visually, rhetorically, and symbolically, whether intentional or not. Now, personally, I do think it was intentional. I think the timing, the stock surge, the media spike, it all looks like a strategic provocation. But to be charitable and say it wasn't, and just imagine some marketing team stumbled into this while chasing a punchy slogan, I think even then the function remains the same, because I think even then the people who hear dog whistles like this, they saw it and immediately recognized the signal they were hearing. They know these tropes. They know what great genes means in their discourse. They know exactly what it means and how to elevate the Aryan aesthetic in this glossy aspirational frame. And they know what it looks like when our mainstream culture is kind of tiptoeing back into the language of inherited worth. And I think that was kind of the point. I think the bait that they laid out was intentional. And then the outrage cycle that we're now experiencing and all taking part in tonight began. So the people who notice it, the people who name it, become the punchline. So in some sense, that's why we're here, because that's why this became a topic. The far right gets to say, look how hysterical the libs are. They think a jeans ad is Yahtzee propaganda. And then just like that, that same aesthetic that once fueled fascist violence gets reabsorbed into the content cycle. It's just like another meme, another viral moment. And I think that's like the process of normalization in what I personally call postmodern neo-fascism, under which we're living. And I want to be clear, this isn't just about gaslighting us, the libs. It's about gaslighting you, the viewer. It's about making you question your own instincts and convincing you that noticing a historical pattern repeating itself makes you the weird one, that you're the problem for seeing it. But I'm here to tell you, you're not. Because whether this was calculated or careless, we're looking at a major brand echoing the exact racial hierarchy and eugenic framing that shaped one of the most dangerous ideologies in modern history. And I think that's worth noticing.
Fair enough. Thanks, Ryan. Joe, do you have some thoughts? I think you kind of vary a little bit in the field of a couple different opinions. What you got for us?
Sure, yeah. So for me, it's a little complicated. I'll try to keep it as low to the ground as I can.
That was a strong statement from Ryan.
Wide range of different identity-based reactions that can happen. And I'm not here, I didn't even accept this to come on to say whether or not I think the ad is good or bad, but it does point in this like intersection of some real and legitimate cultural tension. It uses a visual aesthetic that's deeply tied to the idea of like whiteness and white people. Not only just, and we'll get to this probably, and to really make sure it's clear for people watching to understand, but not just white people as a terms of just white skin and existing as a white person, but also sort of deeper types of pathologies and beliefs and ideas. It also expresses an idea of like desired, disciplined, feminine imagery, sexual orientation, and all of that is historically tied to a bunch of stuff. And Coder kind of knocked on a few of those doors, and that alone triggered a lot of reactions, clearly. And it also taps into, I think, a pretty widespread sentiment. And I'm not here to litigate the truth or validity of the claim, but essentially the claim is some variation of the idea that white people, or in this case, white women, are being erased from public media life and then being replaced with other groups of people. And I don't believe that's true, but I recognize the claim exists, right? And when you combine that feeling with imagery like this, then you get a bunch of different reactions. Um, my personal stance is that there is no single response that defines this ad. I think what does come from it is that based on how people react to it, based on their own beliefs, their histories, and even their identities, and I hate using that word in the context of the conversation, all those responses, whether it be indifferent, confused, outraged, celebratory, they all exist together that give the ad its legitimacy. And I think it's okay and good, if I were to make some type of moral stance, that we're able to see a piece of content, see a bunch of different ideas about the content, and being able to kind of talk about it, even have conversations like this. I think that's important for society to engage with these ideas, and not one idea is superior, not one idea is correct. But based on how we all live and see the world, we can come together and at least try to sort of work out the ideas.
That's fair. That's fair. Charlie, to you, my darling.
I don't have
You're
anything.
muted.
Oh, so I don't have anything written out. And I feel like Ryan and Joe, you both had some very strong and good opening statements. So I'll try to match that a little bit. I personally feel I don't think that the ad was intentionally done in a way for right-wing extremist purposes. I think it was either a very stupid advertisement meant to reference an older advertisement, which was also a really bad advertisement because they had a 14-year-old girl in a sultry voice, half naked, talking about genes and procreation. However, I also think that, like Ryan said, I think that this definitely could have been, done intentionally to manufacture controversy. Because what's going to happen is that you'll have a bunch of far right people go, "Oh wow, haha, we love this," but you are also going to have very far left people call it Yahtzee propaganda, and in return, you will have people who are more centrist, maybe more center right, more center left, go, "Oh wow, those people are crazy. Let's disavow them," and all that ends up happening is that you get the American Eagle name trending. And Ryan said that the stocks have gone up, so I feel like that's potentially validated. However, I do think that it was, again, either stupid or very particular. Because again, like in our culture, blonde-haired, blue-eyed whiteness is intertwined, and I don't think can necessarily be separated from Aryan, that image. I mean, my gosh, everyone's history teacher, when we were learning about World War II, would point at the blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kids and go, "Oh, Adolf would have loved you," you know what I mean? I'm sure you got that, Sarah. It's just, it's a part of our culture. And so, talking about genetics in that way, using Sydney Sweeney and saying she has great genes, I think for everyone is going to be like, well, that was weird. And also, I realized that maybe I'm spending too much time on Twitter, but kind of the Victorian era race science in which Yahtzee race science was based upon, language from that era has entered into my lexicon. I was talking about Sydney Sweeney, and I referred to her as having poor white girl physiognomy, and I was like, I'm using the Victorian era race science language, and that's just becoming more common, is that people are kind of, without necessarily understanding what they're doing, invoking Yahtzee and Victorian race science, which is not great. So yeah, that's my statement. I don't think it was intentional, or if it was a marketing thing and not a, intentional, hey, we are pro Yahtzee now. Anyway, that's my statement.
Fair enough. Soy pill, steel man the crap out of this.
Yeah,
What do you
so
do?
just off the bat, I think obviously, well, maybe not obviously, because Ryan's here. I don't think American Eagle are Nazis. It's founded by two Jews, the Silvermans. I don't think they were like, maybe they're not in charge of the marketing, but I highly doubt that they would have seen some sort of backdoor like dog whistle ad and said, "Oh, yeah, let's sell more jeans by appealing to the Nazi." Like, I don't think they're doing that. Sydney Sweeney is very liberal herself. She like goes to the LGBT GLAAD awards. I don't think she would be, participating in this if she even had an inkling that it was that. The reason that people are upset, though, is justifiable, I think, because if you look at kind of where the cultural sentiment has been over the last, I want to say 5 years, or at least since Trump, people have been complaining a lot about woke stuff, DEI, and very specifically on the internet and in these farther right circles are interracial ads with like a black and white couple. And as of the last, I don't know, since November, since the election, the claim now from MAGA is that woke is dead. Woke is dead. There are no more interracial ads. And Sydney Sweeney, they're trying to claim her as this like MAGA, brainchild. Like, cool, white women are back into the lexicon. So if you couple this kind of like narrative of, well, now we're allowed to show white people again in advertisements, along with the kind of rise of fascism, and then couple that with the anti-Latino sentiment, the white genocide narratives that are popping up and are becoming more blown up because of the right wing. People are upset because they have that on the mind. Do I think they did it on purpose? Probably not. There's a chance it was used to sell more jeans, but mostly it was there to get upset by the libs, because the libs are prone to be upset right now because for legitimate reasons, because of the racism, because of this like weird cultural narrative. Now, I have seen far more things from Fox News and the right wing talking about how mad the left is than I have seen people being mad on the left. And I think they're doing that, like Ryan said, because they want to distract from the fact that they're trying to privatize Social Security, that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, that, all the other horrible things that are happening. They're kicking people off of Medicare, that Israel and Palestine is getting worse and worse every day. So do I think they're Nazis? Obviously not. However, there's very good reasons to believe that this is Nazi coded, even though it's not intentionally. And now the right's just using this to say, "Oh, look how bad the libs are because they're doing such a god awful job."
Wouldn't that be a kind of a projection then to say it wasn't meant to be Yahtzee propaganda, but then I can understand how it can be received that way? Wouldn't that be a projection?
I mean, it is a projection of, hey, I've been seeing a lot of Nazi sentiment on the rise, and now I see something that is Nazi coded, which is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman talking about her great jeans, but it was probably just a pun about jeans. I really don't think they were trying to dog whistle, but that doesn't matter. The point is we're primed to look at it that way, or a lot of the left people are, because of all the crap that's going on right now, because there's a huge right-wing fascist, rise. I mean, if you look at that Jubilee thing 2 weeks ago, there's like a whole swath of people that are now very comfortable saying, oh yeah, no, I don't disavow the Holocaust. I actually am a fascist. It's very, very, very prominent now and more in the mainstream. So that's why people are reacting the way they are. I understand why it is silly, but I mean, I don't blame them.
Okay, if so essentially we think that there's Yahtzee kind of fascism direction going around, and so therefore anything that has an inkling of that will just automatically be categorized in that notion. Is that what you're saying?
Well, can I
Go ahead, Ron.
can I
Yeah.
engage with that a little bit? Because
Mhm.
I think something to really keep in mind here and to note, like, I think all of us are vaguely like close to a similar page on this. Like, we're recognizing how it looks at least.
Mhm.
But nobody here is calling to cancel or boycott American Eagle, or no one here is outraged. No one here is saying you shouldn't watch TV shows with Sydney Sweeney.
What are
Nobody
you talking
is,
about? We already boycott American Eagle. Nobody shops there. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
Like,
true that.
like,
They haven't been
like,
popular.
can we, like, not, I don't want to interject here, right?
No, you're
Play a
fine.
little bit of basketball, but like, I can't think of a single instance that I've ever went into American Eagle in my life. I can't personally.
They
But yeah,
actually have
maybe
some-
that's because it's
some
not.
underwear.
Maybe it's because it's not advertised for me. But maybe within your audience, Sarah, I'd be very interested to see how many people
Well, I
have
have
actually shopped at AE.
I have a teenage daughter. The other one, I think it's Ariel. There's a
Aeropostale?
brand.
Postal.
No, it's I think it's Ariel. American Eagle there. I think it's hold on. I
That's a
always
good
get
point, though. Joe is like this is clearly meant to appeal to straight people because Sydney Sweeney is a hot woman, but like she's selling jeans for women. Like,
Well, and
I think that's
listen,
kind of a bad advertisement.
Airy. It's called
Ah,
Airy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Aerie, and that's like uh bras and underwear and crap, and then American Eagle, she shops there. And I mean it's in the your standard teenage package, right?
Sure.
Hollister, American Eagle, uh God, what else did we have? There was
And then
I
depending on when you lean, right, you might end up like your daughter. I don't want to inject too much here. Like your daughter might not go to Hot Topic, but she might have friends who go to Hot Topic, for instance.
right.
That's
I
more
mean,
of like that, like gothy store
it's the same
alts.
mall we all shop in, right? And
Right.
we were all teenagers once, and we all made our way through the stores, and the guys all wear the same stupid cologne, and the girls all wear the same lip gloss, and they all shop it. If you didn't have like the bird, if you didn't have the Hollister logo, like who are you then?
Are you
Like
trying
you
to
ain't
suggest that Men's Warehouse has a monopoly over clothes at weddings? Like
Oh
every man has the
yeah,
exact same blue suit.
probably.
Like,
Yeah. If you don't, then what are you doing?
you get a
Uh,
Target suit. You roll the
right.
dice. You roll the dice and get a Target suit and hope it holds
So
out.
So yeah, essentially the market is I would say between like 13 to I'd put it as if you're 21 shopping at an American Eagle, I think less of you. But 13 to 18 for sure. We got that whole high school crew, right, until they grow out
Hmm.
of it and they decide that
I
Ross is
thought that
significantly
we I thought that we left it in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. I feel like that's the last time I saw people wear
uh
American Eagle.
maybe
I
they I
just
think
don't see it.
I think I remember
Look,
hearing that they had taken a nosedive in terms of sales.
Mm.
And so this is their track back.
Because they
This
didn't
is what
really
they're
have skinny jeans, I think, as much as they're mostly boot cut. And when those fell out of fashion, I think that yeah, they did take a nosedive.
Yeah, but they're about to be everywhere now because Sydney
Yes,
Sweeney is
they are.
promoting it.
Because the
well,
yeah.
I do have a decent amount of American Eagle apparel actually, because for a while every year for
Uh-oh.
Christmas my dad would get me a gift card. It wasn't my first pick or anything, but it was just what he threw in my stocking, and I appreciated it. I would get underwear and like polo shirts and shit, and they're fine.
Are you gonna burn it all now?
I'm gonna have to, I think, and to with a sigil of Sydney Sweeney on it. Obviously.
Well, something to that, right? I think there is something legitimate to say that American Eagle is, I don't want to say irrelevant, but probably just kind of irrelevant. They exist in a particular niche. They don't really have any type of, like, when you think of American Eagle, it doesn't really point to anything. It just kind of points into, I'm going to be very careful when I say this. It kind of just points into like
go
girls
ahead,
in
say it.
between the ages of 16 and 22. And that
Justin
demographic
Timberlake.
is, yeah.
But that's
Like
a
that,
constant cycling
right.
group, right? So you just have to stay trendy and stay with the styles. But even at that, and that's what kind of blows my mind a little bit more, because we have Sydney Sweeney here doing this, and obviously she's kind of a hot thing right now. I keep up with the times only thanks to my daughter right now. When she gets older, I won't know anymore. But I know Sydney
Sure.
Sweeney is really hot on the market right now.
What
Her
would you
and
rate her
then
out of 10?
Sabrina. I think she's pretty hot. Like
Damn, she
I
is so hot, she doesn't even get a number. That's crazy.
well, I don't.
Off the
I'm not a
charts.
big I think she's hot. Like I put her at probably
She's
an
a
8.
she's a
And
good looking woman.
yeah,
It's
she's a
undeniable.
good-looking woman.
You said you had poor white girl physiognomy, Charlie. So
That was a
Damn.
joke.
back,
That
buddy.
was a
Damn.
joke that I saw on the internet. I was saying that like it felt weird for the Aryan master race to pick her, because when I think of that, I think of the weird propaganda posters of like the
Huh?
crazy looking,
Oh,
like
so
a
you,
blonde-haired,
so
blue-eyed
are
white
you trying
man.
to say, are
She's
you trying
saying
to
that
suggest
even
that,
her jeans
um,
aren't good enough.
are you
I
trying to
was
say
saying
that like Cerise Theron's just getting too old and they got to just like, just shop her out? Like, we need another one. Who can we
Yeah.
pick?
Yeah, they do. They need to find another one. She just kind of looks like a, I don't know. I was like, she just doesn't seem to fit that.
I'm still not convinced
No, but
she,
then we have people like Billie Eilish, right? Who's just
I thought you'd be,
dresses dumpy. She's got beautiful eyes, but she purposely
Mhm.
dresses dumpy. She doesn't show off her, like, she doesn't want to show off her body, like she's
I mean, we've seen it.
she's
let's
like,
just-
yeah, but right.
the Gooners know.
Yeah, I mean,
The Gooners know. Like, listen.
But
They're
I
on the
mean,
research.
picky, like sometimes I look at some of these stars that they pick and I'm kind of like, why? Like it's kind of odd, but okay. But essentially it's what's hot right now. It's what's cooking, it's what's trendy. And again, I only know these things because my daughter follows. I mean, now they're moving to influencers and not necessarily celebrities. Celebrities are like almost begging to get sponsorships anymore, right? So we've got
True.
influencers doing a lot of the work. But even at that, okay, so if
I
with
had a
the
point, by the way, not to
oh yeah,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off, mid cook.
Go ahead.
The reason why I question the legitimacy of American Eagle is that I think they have to take, if you want to be relevant, as many streamers have shown, you have to take risks. Um, you have to take certain type of rhetorical risks. You need to have certain type of linguistic risks, and I don't think American Eagle is naive of the sentiment that's going around in America. I don't think, and again, like I don't think they care whether or not the sentiment is serious, like legitimate or illegitimate. They just know it exists and they kind of tap into it. And I think they took a risk of tapping into the sort of identity sensitive snowflakes, because there's no shortage of that within Black communities. As an example, like you're hard pressed, like there's so many Black people who will like see the smallest bit of racially coded undertones and then just go off on Twitter and make manifestos about how we have to like change and revolutionize society and shit. And I always look at that and go like, all right, I'm very secure about who I am, and I hope you seek therapy, my friend, but I'm not reading that. I'm just not going to read it. And then on the other end, there are people who sort of buy into that sort of coding that Coder, Charlie, and Sawyer kind of alluding to, where they do legitimately believe that the white race is being erased. They do legitimately believe that white women are being sort of softly moved to a side for non-white women, and they see Sydney Sweeney as a callback to like we're back, baby. Like Ozzy Osbourne's dead. What the other dude died, Hulk Hogan died. We lost our champions, but she's our new one. Let's get it. But again, like those sides are kind of the extreme, where I think for a lot of people, I think they kind of fall under the camp of like, this is an ad, who cares? But that even this is an ad, who cares, has within like my point has like a place in all these other different perspectives. It's not a matter of like which one of these is absolutely correct. It's just that they kind of all exist together, and those things all together make the ad that it is. And I think American Eagle won. Like I think if I were to believe that they knew that these different sentiments existed and they just wanted to sort of spark into that to drive attention, I think they absolutely succeeded.
And just to piggyback and jump back into the
Go
what
ahead.
I was getting when I mentioned American Eagle a while back. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. But I think it's the fact that nobody here is like calling to boycott or cancel them. I think is notable, and like no one here is like really outraged about it. I think a lot of we're just analyzing a trend and a phenomenon. Like we're examining the outrage and the lack of outrage and just the reaction cycle that's happening, the content cycle that emerges from controversies like this. And I think that's what I'm pointing to is like when I think about them being aware of like what they're tapping into is that the culture at this moment is ripe for a controversy like this, I think, and one that will get a lot of content, get a lot of people like there's going to be libs who are like, wow, this is Nazi propaganda, and there's going to be a lot of right wingers who are like, look at all these insane libs, and all of it is of course going to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list and traffic children. But that is, I think that's just kind of where we're at. Oh, and sorry, the other
Oh yeah, go
last
ahead.
thing on that,
Go ahead.
I think it's also relevant that they like Charlie mentioned, the ad that they are echoing is of the Claire something, I think, like who was like a 14-year-old
That was
from I guess
crazy.
the 90s who they did almost the same commercial, and she's
Bro, it
like
was the
literally like,
80s.
putting on the jeans in the commercial, like it's the commercial is her putting the jeans on, like getting dressed, and this is a child, and it's so
And
it's
she's
echoing
like
that
breathy and
commercial specifically.
struggly.
Yeah,
It's
she
so
says, you know
creepy.
what is in between me and my jeans? Nothing. which in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
80s is crazy. And then and then there was like, oh, she's a minor. And again, like this is obviously like this is pre-internet. This is pre being able to just like have like a panel like this to exist. So people just kind of had to look at this imagery and just kind of sit on it and then
Actually,
hope
yeah,
it
now
like
that you
makes it.
mentioned that, I do think this might be a backdoor dog whistle to remind everyone, as it's MAGA coded, that Donald Trump had sex with minors.
Which is worth remembering.
Uh, I wouldn't say.
Straight out of
Okay,
left field, soy pill. What the hell?
all right.
It's not
I
a
was
left field,
always of
sir.
the
We've talked about that
opinion.
for decades, actually.
I
I
need
was.
Man on a
more of
mission.
hold on. I need more of elaboration on that.
Well, you didn't know
I
that Donald Trump was on the Epstein list, is in the Epstein files himself, has flown with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times, is best friends with
7.
Jeffrey Epstein for a while, is said that
I
Jeffrey Epstein
think
likes girls on the younger side, but, you know, he likes them a little younger than me, knew about all the trafficking and recently was hot mic'd, or I guess asked the question of whether or not Jeffrey Epstein took girls from Mar-a-Lago and had nothing to say about the fact that those girls were being had sex with. He's just like, oh, he took my employees and
He
seemed to be
stole
mad about
them.
that. He stole them. Yeah, no, all that's been in the record for a while.
I'm
It's kind of
not
weird that the
going.
right's just now realizing it, though.
I'm not going to go as far to say that
That's deep.
all of that, right? I think the only reasonable, unverifiable claim is that Donald Trump is pro prostitution, because how can you,
Oh,
how
Jesus.
can that many women think that like that's where they want to go unless they're getting paid? Like, I'm not trying to
Well, so
suggest that Donald
these were
Trump's
like girls,
ex-wives. Right, I'm not right. I'm saying something different. I'm not trying to suggest that
children.
Donald Trump's ex-wives are all just prostitutes. But did he pay them? I'm just saying, like, I'm not a member of the Legit Bigota, but I don't think Donald Trump is that attractive of a man that can pull the way that he's pulling. So I don't know.
You don't have
I
to be
mean,
attractive to pull hotties. I mean, you just have you
clearly,
gotta there's a dollar amount where it's like,
Especially not if they're being
okay.
trafficked.
And I know for a fact men play this game. Okay. I know for a fact you guys play the how much to tap it. How much? Like $1,000. Okay, $2,000. 2,500.
Just make her
All
laugh,
right.
fellas. It's way
Right?
easier.
I know you guys play this game too, and women just do it live. Like we don't play
well, I
games.
mean,
We
like, didn't like. Listen,
Yeah.
I pray for our boy Shannon Sharp, but they're just kind of. I understand what you're throwing down, where it's like, yeah, rich men can kind of just pay their way into the life that they want to have, and then we all just kind of have to watch and think like, I can do that too. When I say we, it's like just dudes. There's no girl on the planet that's looking at a guy and saying, I think I can buy him out. I think I can. That man has a price. Because I think, and again, like that's I mean, I'm riffing, by the way, just to kind of do like a side tangent, but I don't think that there's any man in the world that if the woman came out to them and said, I'll pay you $2,500, all you have to do is just kind of unconditionally have sex with me, and maybe you get to stay home and don't have to work. I think most men would be like, no.
Are you kidding me?
Kidding?
I'm
But some
already
dudes,
sold.
might.
I'm fantasizing about it right now.
It's called a sugar mama. Okay, us cougars know how to take care of our cubs. All right.
That's
So,
right.
question.
Thank you,
Here's what I
Sarah.
wanted to ask.
Anyway, I digress. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It was a good little tangent. At
love
least
that.
we know that nobody on here likes Trump except for that's in my world, right? Like we're
Well,
all.
wait. Joe, I just wanted to clarify real quick. When you said the women are doing it for a reason, you mean you're not talking about the trafficked children. You're talking about the grown women that have married him, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay,
what I'm trying
okay.
to throw down.
I just wanted to, because there was someone in my chat that was like, "These are minors," and I was like, I don't think those are the ones.
Ivanka is quite the not. If I say like there's somebody who is like so far from being a minor, it's probably Ivanka Trump. She's very far removed from her minor
Yes.
status.
Are you
Yes.
talking about Melania? Ivanka's his daughter. I know he wants to fuck
Melania,
both of them,
I don't know
His
these women.
ex-wife is Ivanka, I think, as well.
to be clear, he did meet and have sex with Melania for the first time on the Lolita Express, allegedly. So she also might have been a minor at the time of them getting married. Just
Oh god.
but
All right,
anyway, the
so
point is
question.
that the
So
outrage
your
at the
question, I'm
outrage
sorry.
is to distract from the Epstein stuff.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's a wild ride to get from point A to point B. Question: if in this this American Eagle ad, if it was an Asian girl, a black girl, a Mexican girl, a Jewish girl, uh, I don't know, like a transgender girl doing exactly the same thing, saying exactly the same lines, no difference except it's just a completely different looking girl. Would we all be saying the same? Would we even be having this conversation?
No, if
Well,
she was
oh,
a
yeah.
white brunette, I probably wouldn't be saying the same thing. I would still think it's a dumb commercial. Like, I'd be like, this just
Yeah.
wasn't very clever in my opinion. But I think it is, again, it is just because I feel like
the
this.
optics.
Yes, it's the optics, and it's just the very strong association between blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin with Yahtzee stuff.
Eugenics.
That when
Yeah.
with eugenics. So when you start talking about genes, and you're talking about the perfect genes that someone who is blonde haired, blue eyed, white has, then it's like, and she's referencing her
little on
hair
the
and her
nose.
Yeah.
eyes
Did she say
specifically.
perfect genes though? I mean, I remember she said
That's
you
the
get
that's
your
the
genes from your
phrase.
mom and dad, and then is that what she
The
said?
narrator
Perfect
says
genes?
Good
she ha-
genes,
Sydney
good
Sweeney
genes.
has great
Good
genes.
genes.
Yeah,
Great
great
Right, yeah.
genes. Yeah.
Right.
And to be
I-
clear, like this is definitely like a perfect storm, right? Because if they had like gone out of their way to find like a Aryan poster girl propaganda person that was like a D-list celebrity, then it would be like, okay, this is a little weird, right? Like some no name. It's like this is very explicit. But it's Sydney Sweeney. She's my Pedro Pascal. I'm like, I'm tired of seeing her and everything. And they know she's in everything. She's a hot item right now, and that's why they threw her in here. It's probably just like, hey, what are they? They're making her sell like dumb shit now. It's like probably Carl's Jr. We're going back to like if you buy our burger, this woman will have sex with you, right? Like this is just a marketing tactic.
Which
But
doesn't work, by the way.
Sydney Sweeney just happened to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, which is why we're talking about it now. Why
Isn't she
anyone freaked out about it?
She's a brunette naturally, isn't she?
Yeah, I saw your chat kind of talking about that. To clarify a little bit of that, there's a particular set of imagery of a character that Sydney Sweeney played in Euphoria, and she hasn't quite moved beyond that imagery of that character, which is a blonde-haired, and kind of like blonde hybrid, right? Where it's like they start like younger blonde and slowly transitioning to a more brunette look. But even with that, right? Like even if we do a 1-for-1 swap, um, the critiques would just be different. The meaning would just shift to be something else.
Well, then
And there
could
would
we
still
say that's
be
kind of racist against white girls then? Like,
in
I
what way?
mean,
What do you mean?
like just because she did it, now we're mad because she's the one that did it. I mean, not her individually, but a white girl did it,
Well, wait,
right? It
Sarah, to
doesn't
be
that
clear,
try and back
if
me
a
up
black
too,
girl
right?
did it, Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and all them would have a fucking aneurysm and say like this is anti-white propaganda. So we wouldn't be
Not
talking
necessarily.
about it for the same reason, but we would still be talking
It
about
would
it because
just
they would be having
be
a fucking bitch fit. So
yeah, it would just be pointing and like trying. When I say pointing to different things, an ad is like saying a particular thing with that, and I don't think that. I mean, listen, I'm all for it because something that I think is very interesting is that yeah, people have different types of identity-based reactions to advertisements, because even within the ad itself, like we know that a different actor or actress would have a different response. If that was Megan Thee Stallion, you'd have a different response. If it was Lizzo, you would absolutely have a different response. Or even someone in drag saying that, there'll be a different response. That's not to say that one response to it is legitimate, but it's just that to say that yeah, if the identity switched, it would be pointing to different things, and the ad itself in its core would be saying something else. You can clearly still take the camp of like it's just an ad, who cares, but that idea of this is an ad, who cares, is also in these other different types of reactions.
But even in an even with that being said, like I look at it as she is the market for what they're looking for, right?
Sure.
Your typical teenage girls and who they look up to, right? That's the influencer for who their target market is. So, for instance, if I run a Nike ad, I'm not going to get Lizzo to be in my Nike ad because that's probably not my target market, right? So, uh,
Well, Lizzo lost a lot of weight, so
Yeah,
actually,
she's
I
been
wouldn't be
working out
surprised
like
to
but
see
she's
crazy.
not
Yeah.
but she's not an athlete, right? I would go for a
Damn.
basketball player, football player. I would
that.
go for somebody that is an athlete of whom is working towards. This is why the all of the sports places get golfers and basketball players for their sponsorships. Um, so like I look at my who's going to look up my target market and who they're looking up to. That's who I want to get, right? So if Sydney Sweeney is the hot commodity right now, then naturally I'm like I know all of the teenage girls because that's we already established that's the market age range for American Eagle. That's the target market range, and I want to attract them. So therefore, I'm going to get the person that they look up to. If Lizzo happened to be that person, it would have been her. If a Candace Owens was that person, I would have gotten that person, right? Like I would have gone all in different directions.
Can we just say that ad would throw way? It would. I wish. Listen, Candace Owens. Damn, they missed an opportunity. That ad would have gone crazy.
Gotta have some pearls to clutch for that one.
Yeah, it would be. Listen, it would be like I am one. I used to listen. There was a time when I was younger that I was one of these pearl clutching liberals, and now I'm a chaotic fuck. So I gladly invite that type of controversy. That's why even you probably missed this, but Billie Eilish said in public in Ireland that she was so happy to be playing in front. I forget the exact wording of it.
A bunch of
Playing in
people
front of
that
a
look
bunch
like
of
me.
people that
Yeah,
look
a
like
bunch of people
me.
that look like her,
Yeah.
and everyone just kind of like, huh?
Which was just such a weird thing. But also, okay, I want to tie this into. There was another commercial that a Dunkin' Donuts commercial that had some guy. I don't know who this is. I don't know if this is what people think is hot now, but it's some dude who has like a white guy, tan, has the broccoli haircut. And he talks about how he says, okay. He says
this tan is because of my good genes.
this
That one?
tan genetics. Like I guess not to
Damn.
go too off topic, but I feel like we're also entering an era where kind of like selecting offspring based on genes is becoming kind of very it's like something we can maybe kind of do now. And I'm against that because I do think that we are actively fucking with our evolution as a species. There are genes that might be undesirable on the surface, but I feel could at some point in the future be desirable, be useful at some point. There's just this weird thread of like Victorian era race science coming back, and I don't know if I like that we're thinking about who has good genes or not.
Well, okay. I know
Sure.
what you're getting at.
Can I
push back
validate
on
something
Charlie.
before we
let me
get?
ask
back on
a-
Charlie
let
right
me
now.
ask
Can I
a
validate
question,
something that
though.
Sarah said?
Yeah,
Can I
go
validate something you said, Sarah? I want to agree, just because you kind of said it and then I derailed it. I do agree that media wants certain celebrities and people to point to. So for teenagers, they want to have somebody that like they can point to as an individual. Like for a lot of men, for a while that was Hulk Hogan, and then that transitioned to being, like it or not, it was Hulk. It was it was the Hulkster, and then that pointed to when it comes to women, for instance, like Sasha Banks was a very significant figure if we're saying in that sort of wrestling vein. And then there's also what's that woman's name? I just know her as Muscle Mommy. My girlfriend watches wrestling. I don't, but I just know her as this Muscle Mommy. Your chat might know who I'm talking about.
Yes,
but
no, it's not Rita. What is it?
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley. Yeah.
And like,
her.
so you have different type of like figures that you want to say like, hey, this is who you want to aspire to be. And I would agree that Sydney Sweeney for teenage girls is like, at least AE is trying to do this, that they're trying to point that like this is sort of like who you want to aspire to be, or someone you want to consider as a role model. And that can drive sales of products or even drive the idea that American Eagle is something that you ought to buy or ought to pursue.
Well,
Anyway, you want to get to race
I wanna
science and
kinda
stuff
I wanna
or
yeah,
genetics?
on the topic of genetics, I do wanna push back a little bit on you, Charlie, because the idea of,
Mhm.
like, saying, "I have good genes," or, like, judging people or selecting based on the genes. I mean, first of all, we do it all the time when we're like, "Hey, that person's hot, and I wanna have sex with
Yeah,
them,"
You
and
of
took my
good.
course.
whole
But
fucking
but
point,
but
Soy.
second of all well, hold on, let me take more of your points. The amount of time that I hear specifically Asian and Black people say, "Oh, it's my good genes, that's why I'm aging so well," which is a totally acceptable, statement, I think is fine, and the fact that lots of people talk about, "Oh, yeah, I've got good genetics," like, that's a
Mhm.
very common, term in the zeitgeist, and so that's why I think more than
That's
likely the
fair.
ad
Yeah.
agency is not like, how can we drop some Nazi eugenics into our ad and trigger people? It's just like, oh yeah, let's say genes. That's a pun. Talk about genes. Done. I think that's probably where the conversation ended because these people are not that smart. You ever watch Mad Men? They come up with the stupidest fucking
Well,
ideas.
you did also
So
say it was kind of like a redo of an older
exactly.
commercial that they
And
Mhm.
had
that
already
probably wasn't Nazi science. That was just pedophilia or ebophilia for the libertarians.
Oh
So,
my
Well, I
so
God.
think
I to answer the question of like, what would it if it was someone else, right? If it was anyone else or someone who looked different, I think is the interesting question. Like, we might still be having a conversation, but we'd be having a fundamentally different conversation if it wasn't a white woman with blue eyes and blonde hair and it's
yeah.
the combination of all of these things and like which is why I opened with like those two key points, like acknowledging that like these are like core things to like that ideology, right? They're so central to it, and so it really strains credulity to me, to imagine that no one on the marketing team at any point in the production of this realized like we're kind of doing a little trifecta here.
have you met media
It's
relations
Hold
people,
on,
I just
Ryan?
don't buy it, you
hold
know.
on, hold on. But that in and of itself means that every single white person out there who has blonde hair and blue eyes now has to be careful with how they operate or say things they say or do in an instance because somebody might say, "Well, you're white," and that sounded like propaganda. Therefore, Yahtzee.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
Right?
Oh,
Like,
no,
I
no.
think
wait,
people
I'm not
actually,
would
even
wait,
laugh
I'm not
yes,
at
calling
That's a
anybody.
good
Yahtzee.
point. No,
yes,
no, Sarah's
unironically,
right.
Sarah. No,
Sarah's right.
I
That's a
disagree.
good
Wait, hold
point.
on. Sarah's
that
Yeah,
wrong,
go for it.
isn't
respectfully.
that
Yeah,
racist?
white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people should be a little more careful talking about having superior genes, just because of the
Yeah,
historical
maybe they
context.
should. Yeah,
In the
fuck it.
same
Yeah, I
way,
mean,
you
is that
know,
so bad?
it's just like, look, you got to look at the historical context for so many things, right? Like, you know, I've seen little kids and they're like, oh, Ibrahimovic, or my favorite soccer player is black, and like this Romanian kid will like do blackface, and it's like, okay, like you don't understand the history of Jim Crow, but that's a thing that happened, and like you have to think about these things and your status of these things and your audience when you participate in this. So yeah, maybe you do have great genes, maybe you're a beautiful blonde hair, blue eyed person, but depending on how you brag about that, like you're probably going to get some very deserved backlash. I think you should be careful about that.
Or
Doesn't mean you
side
can't be in
eyes
an
at
ad,
the
Hmm.
but
very least,
I
the
right? You might get
language
side eyes.
is important.
I
But
agree.
we
I agree with what
oh,
Sarah's trying to throw down here. Not to cut you off again. I'm
no,
so
go
sorry.
ahead. I like that you're
Um.
agreeing with me. At least you're validating me.
Oh
Soy
Lord, have
ball.
mercy. It's all downhill. I'm about
I'm
to be a
racist against
permanent
white
guest
blonde people.
soon. About to replace somebody. Like so.
Oh, you're
Here's what
coming
I'll agree
back.
with. Right. Here's what I'll agree with. There is something to say about how when we have deeper conversations about like just social structures and shit, that it gets mixed up into those type of ideas where it's like, oh, if I am white blonde and blue eyed, then I'm automatically a problem in society and I ought to check and like self monitor and self regulate and censor my expression. That's a legitimate sentiment, but I think the problem is that's not enough, because what I see is that it's not only a matter of you fitting into that box of visibility. So I say visibility like what you look like, but also having the correct ideas, beliefs, and like sort of performative aesthetic. The way I think about it is kind of like we live in a society where there's this dress code, and we all know the dress code exists, but we get reminded that we're not dressing appropriately. So society kind of says, well, not like that, not like that, not like that, that's a little closer, okay, you're fine. And then someone like Charlie would go, well, why am I fine? and there's no like feedback loop of like explaining what they changed about themselves that's now tolerable in society in such a way that's like you're never told. What I'm trying to say is like you're never told what this is, like what the acceptable thing is, but it's based on how people respond to you. Because if somebody with blonde hair, blue eyes, and I guess apparently blue because your chat had like a little back and forth about how Sydney Sweeney has green eyes actually.
Well,
Weird
funny
thing to
story.
clarify.
I have green eyes too, but most people
Yeah.
think they're blue. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna roll with that. Me and Sydney,
So-
we're one
So,
and the same.
I will
I
say-
say that.
one other
Yeah, like
to the
I'm
point
almost
of,
on. I'll land it. I'll
sorry,
land it. I
yeah,
promise.
no,
you.
go ahead, Joe.
I promise you, I'll land it. Yeah. So like the point is that like what happens is you don't only need to present in a way that's accepted in society. You also have to have the beliefs, the ideology, the different types of like connection to tradition, because then you're completely sort of like I don't want to say normal, but just like someone who's not going to be reminded that you don't belong, for example.
So can I this is anecdotal, but I am primarily of German descent. My last name is very German. My grandfather grew up in a town that spoke German and
Wait, how do you
English
spell your last
in
name?
the Midwest.
Stop it! Don't do that.
You know how to
Right.
spell my last name. But like growing up, when people would read my last name because I grew up in California, I would get like a lot of Yahtzee jokes. All right, I'd get a lot of Yahtzee jokes, which kind of bothered me when I was little. But then I was like, I don't care. But I also, like when my papa said to me, you should marry someone with a good German last name. You don't want to lose your good German last name. I'm sure he didn't
mean
mean
your
that in
papa?
I call him a papa.
Your papa? Okay.
Papa.
Make it
Yeah.
sure.
Are
Yeah,
you saying it like German? Is that? It doesn't work when it's the cognate.
yeah.
I just know there's this German Shepherd dog on TikTok, and he says "papa." So I don't know if that's a connection, but
No,
I'm just
this
messing
isn't
with you.
my
Keep
dad. This is my grandfather. When he said that, I'm sure my papa didn't mean like only marry white German people who are not of Jewish descent. He didn't mean that because he doesn't care who I date. He just wanted me to keep my last name, but I had to be like, Papa, you can't say that at a restaurant in public, please, because that's awkward, So I think like sometimes, yeah, you might belong to a culture or an ethnic group where maybe your ancestors did some crazy things, and then you just gotta kind of make sure you don't say things that make you look crazy because of that. For that,
But
Sarah,
see
Sarah,
this-
imagine
To
this.
that point, please. I've been holding it for a minute.
Go-
Like,
go-
but
go-
what
go ahead.
we are talking
Damn.
about, we're talking about a very large corporation with a very large marketing team, with a very with a very established actress. We're not talking about some like random girl at a bar like doing tequila shots with her friends who says something like says about her great genes or whatever, and someone overhears it. Like, there's a lot more orchestration into this thing. So like, we can talk about how people should be a little bit more conscious, and it'd be nice if people were a little bit more conscious about this kind of stuff, but like it's a totally separate discussion, I think, from like a corporate entity. Like there's just so much oversight into releasing something like this, and
Ryan, I gotta
yeah.
push back on that. I don't know where you've worked or like if you know the internals of some of these bigger companies, but like you'd be surprised. First of all, how fucking stupid all these people are. Second of all, like how one guy will do it and how checked out everyone else is, and I was like, yeah, fucking whatever. Like, or even like what I've been allowed to release, like as PR for like Congress people or like pretty big companies or like what's companies that will advertise on YouTube channels will let you get away with. I don't think that it was like, 100 people all watch this ad and all of them were like, yeah, it's a little Nazi coded, but you know what we're trying to do. Like that's possible. Don't get me
Yeah, it
wrong.
was
But
probably
this was
like
not
5
like, how
people in
could
a
they
room.
all
Yeah,
miss
either.
this? Trust me, they put out a lot of stupid shit. I don't know if you watch much ads anymore. Streaming doesn't really have ads, but like TV used to, but there's a lot of stupid fucking ads that get misconstrued all the time. And this isn't like a Japan, like, oh, we put a black guy in the washing machine and he came out, Japanese sort of like racism. This is like the most subtle, like, am I tuned into the zeitgeist of the rise of fascism, but not in the mainstream, but because I'm on the internet all the time and I can read between the lines of what Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are saying. So I don't
Can I
think
ask a
this was
question?
necessarily on
Going
purpose.
back to Trump.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I
Joe.
can I ask a
Well,
question?
the zeitgeist is impacted by that, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you guys think I'm gonna make a claim? because this is kind of what I believe, and I just kind of see where y'all land at. I don't think most people react emotionally to these type of representational things. So to explain this a bit more clearly, I don't think anybody, most people, I don't say everybody, but most people actually care about anything we're talking about.
No. No, I don't think the average person cares at all.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wait, do you
I
mean
don't
like
even
talking
care
about
that
like
much.
seeing
offended.
yourself, or like what do you
You
mean
know,
by
I don't think any of us are
representation?
like particularly offended by it.
It's
We're-
just something to talk about. Nobody
Sure.
actually cares, right? Okay, and I kind of wanted to hike it back to a little bit, because if anybody is focused and honing in, like who the fuck sits there and says like, I saw this commercial and it hurt my feelings, right? It's
Well,
just
that
kind of
well, I know those people. They're insecure. Like I'm gonna be a little harsh here, but there are some people, whether them be white, black, what have you, that are very sensitive about their identity, and they might see a certain type of coding and respond very, I don't, aggressively is the only word I can think of right now. And I don't think that those people are exactly serious people. Because I think for most of us, right? Like for me, I noticed these like codings in the Sydney Sweeney ad, but it kind of, that's just like where it starts and ends for me. I'm not going to go write some Substack article about the rise of white supremacy and fascism. Like I'm not gonna have some, my coder might, but like, I think for most people, like my personal is that like, yeah, like recognize that coding exists. I don't think it's reasonable to have it like emotionally affect you. But there are people who do. And I think what sucks is that those are the people who get the most likes, the most retweets, the most eyeballs. And then they're kind of painted as this representation of what people actually think. And then this is what actually these type of folks actually believe. And this can be done either way. This can be done towards white people and their response to this ad. It can be done toward non-white people in response to this ad. There's like an amplification of extremes when in reality I think a lot of people are in like a sort of two simple camps. Like I recognize this exists, I don't really care, I don't see this, I don't care, and different variations of that, you know.
Again,
Just
I
a
feel
quick
like
thing
this.
piggybacking up. Oh, yeah.
I
go ahead,
wanted
Charlie.
to poke into that. The coding, you said these people see this coding and they just take it a certain specific way and run with it. But you had already kind of started that by saying most of these people are insecure, they have identity issues, so on and so forth. Is the coding, and that's I kind of brought this up earlier. Is it projected? Because like how many people who
Absolutely.
don't have so is the coding built in on the American Eagle end, or is the coding built into the person who is perceiving it that way?
That's
That's
I
like
don't
that was
and I would
my
say
argument
it
from
as
the
a
beginning, Sarah, is like
victim,
people are
yeah,
primed
victim
for this,
coding.
right?
Yeah.
People are seeing legitimate rise of Nazi rhetoric. I don't know if you've been on Twitter in the last 2 years, but it's absolutely everywhere. We're getting all the anti-immigration sentiment. There's like, hey, kick out the legal ones, like the white genocide narrative is on the rise. So people are primed to think of this. So even if this was completely innocuous, which I think is most likely, people are ready to look for these things. And it's not an insecurity thing. It's a very legitimate response to the rise of white nationalism in our country, unfortunately.
Like I want to make something kind of clear here. And this might get your audience excited me saying this, but like racial hatred isn't rational. It's not logical. It's not attached to anything. It's only logical and rational because it's happening to you. And I'm not going to say don't take that shit personally. Like if it's something's happening to you, then yeah, you take that shit personally. But at the end of the day, it's not about like, at least in my eyes, like hating people because they're white or hating people because they're black. Like we're kind of presupposed, or not presupposed, we're exposed to these different stimuli and these different ideas and stuff. And then it leads you kind of down that path. Like people, like there is a legitimate concern that like there are people who will see this ad and say like, well, this is why you don't date white women. And there's a sea of those people online, a whole oceans of I call them Umar sexuals, where they just kind of just date within their own race. They don't nothing else within that. And then like because that was my exposure to this, by the way, Sarah. I was busy watching the swirlers and the Umar sexuals fighting with each other. Swirlers are people who support interracial dating. Umar sexuals are those who just don't support interracial dating, and they're just fighting online over Sydney Sweeney. And I'm like, there are like grow up, both of you
million other
guys.
Wait,
things.
are both of these like derogatory slurs? Are you the centrist, sometimes interracial marriage is bad position, or those
What?
both sound bad? Swirler and
My-
Umars or whatever.
I don't necessarily take that much stock. I don't take stock in who people date and are in relationships with, but I do think there are pieces of content that I recognize, like, oh, this is gonna upset people. And it's usually those corners of the internet for me. Like a callback to this is like when the one that was real I really enjoyed was when Zoe Kravitz played Catwoman in the Batman. And then those corners of the internet were just arguing with each other over that. And it's like different manifestations of that. I don't take stock in it. I just laugh at it because I think
take
it's funny
stock-
as fuck.
I disagree with her casting in that because no one should ever be with a British person. So
Damn.
So, do we think it's logical? I mean, Soy, you're trying to kind of ground it in the idea that these people are primed for it because of other recent propagandas and things that are kind of
the
in our
very
face
real and
going
dangerous
on.
rise of anti anyone but white fascism in our country that it was really what we should be talking about, how this insane ICE raids and all the other horrible things that are happening in the country, this is being used as a platform to distract from the fact that all these horrible things are coming. And the reason it's being talked about at all, just why people are getting mad, are because of all those horrible things. If this was like 2005, I bet no one, not even the lefties, would give a shit. This is because of the recent stuff.
Totally agree, and I want to add to that. I was going to point to the other side of the coin, the people who are primed to be sensitive about hearing it, but also people who are primed to be emboldened by it, by this sort of, which is why I'm still, and like in my opening I outlined very clearly, I don't necessarily, like, my answer is yes, it's Nazi propaganda, regardless of whether or not it was intentional, because of the ecosystem, like the environment we're in right now, and because of the emboldening of people who are seeing this. They again, like, the people who are primed to enjoy this whole aesthetic and to be stoked about, like, these blonde white Aryan genes being celebrated and being brought to the forefront.
Yep.
Those people are further emboldened also by what's going on in the country right now, like, and it's very
Ryan,
scary.
how many times have you
yeah.
seen the "we're so back" because of these ads? It's like, oh, we used to have black people in ads, but we're so back, guys. Sydney Sweeney's our
Exactly.
girl.
But
You
I
know, like
guess-
that's
so-
To
absolutely
be
I-
fair,
I'm-
though, isn't the emboldening exist too on the, we'll just say broadly, the left end as well? Because listen, I'm done with these racialized think pieces, man. I'm so done. Like, I come from this position of just exhausted, where, like, yeah, okay, American Eagle did this weird kind of like coded language around genes and genes. It's a play on words, but I don't think it deserves that much attention. It's a nice aside. It's a nice, like, aside that we can discourse about that for a little bit. But I do think that there is something legitimate to say that, like, the same type of emboldening of, like, excitement can also be the same emboldening of outrage, like the same emboldening of, like, this is completely unacceptable. We need to take certain steps to decommodify the clothes, like that type
Oh
of
yeah,
shit.
no, Joe, you're 100% right. And it's the same reason why, like, all those dumb articles that were like, "Oh, milk and math are racist," like, that might have been based in some, like, very legitimate thing. Like, even Pete Buttigieg was like, "Highways are racist," and everyone's like, "Ah ha ha, look at the left." But you look at, like, what he was actually saying. It's like, yeah, highways were built in ways to discriminate against black neighborhoods. But the problem is the messaging does embolden people who are able to point at us and say, "Look how dumb you are." Which is why I think as soon as Sarah hopefully soon invites all of her crazy audience on, I'm going to be talking about how bad Trump is and the reason why they're using this to distract from him. So, because those things are more important.
Okay, I'm not sure if the comparison is gonna work, but kind of the reaction on both, like, far right white supremacist side of the internet and then also the very far left side of the internet reminds me of what happens every time a video game is released ever, where depending upon the type of characters released, there is some sort of moral outrage, you know, like the right. It will be like, this lady wasn't sexy enough. What the fuck? We're so angry. This is the end of
My
video
titties
games.
got smaller
Feminist,
in my favorite video game.
feminist, or like maybe someone will make a game. I don't remember what the game was called, but it was a game where you played as like the man based the model off of his wife. You played as this like really sexy lady wearing sexy cool clothes.
Stellar Blade?
Stellar Blade. Yeah. And like they were like, this is it. Yes, woke is dead. Woke is dead. Just like frothing at the mouth over Stellar Blade, which wasn't a big deal. It was a decent game from what I've heard, and the main character looked really good in her clothes. But again, it's like this is stuff that only really heavily bothers people who I'm not sure are having much of an impact on our society.
Yeah, like that's why even I'm gonna be a bit more direct here. That's why, like, when I heard, God, there was a never-ending supply of these, where there are people like, I'm so excited that Ariel is now black because now I can see myself in her, and I'm like, shut the fuck up and go outside and have some friends. Like, I've never once like
Joe,
I
I just
hate
imagine you
those.
saying that to like a 10-year-old black girl because I've seen.
I
videos
would
of them being so
absolutely
happy about it.
say that to a 10-year-old black girl. I
Shut
don't give a
up.
fuck. Shut the fuck up. It's a movie. Get over yourselves. Like, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to like identity insecurity. Like, because that's rampant. But again, there's reasons for that, and I don't want to get into like the reasons why I think that exists. But it is something that I notice time and time again, where in reality it's like nobody gives a shit except for you because you are insecure about your racial identity, your sexual orientation, your whatever identity that you ascribe yourself to. And there's some level of insecurity that you got to work through. And then maybe you won't be an intolerable piece of shit. Like the amount of people who I saw, some of which were some of my mutuals, and I was like, y'all are ridiculous, where they were so relieved that there wasn't a hip hop beat under Mr. Terrific's fight scene in Superman. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, there's no, like,
Well,
you mean you were sitting there watching Superman and then you're like, wow, I'm so happy there wasn't a hip hop beat. And then when like I go, yeah, like, shut the fuck up, nobody cares. They go, well, actually, his history is shown time and time again. When the Negro fights, there's always the hippity hop. It's like, nobody gives a shit. We're just watching a movie. Let me enjoy my fantasy.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get when people are like, hey, the only representation of me is always the exact same thing. And I like that this person deviated a little bit so that people don't have stereotypes about me. But
Yeah.
sorry for white splaining that one.
All right. No, you're good. That's whatever. But it's like, I mean, the same notion, like there's a lot of people who go, it's a jeans ad, nobody cares. And I'm inclined to agree with them in that regard, where I don't think that there needs to be that much discourse and discussion. I invite it. I think it's a good thing to be able to talk about media and how media plays a role and how we engage with people. But I don't think this is something that necessarily dedicates like a week or 2 weeks rather. But go ahead.
Sorry, my bad. My volume cut out for a second and I thought you had finished your statement. I do want to actually amend the statement that I made. I forgot about Gamergate and the impacts of Gamergate, so maybe it does kind of matter a little bit.
Yeah, these people probably got Trump elected in 2016, to be clear.
Yeah, I forgot.
Huh?
The Gamergate, like, oh, the left is too woke. I'm gonna vote for the outside establishment guy who's pushing back against wokeness. Like that was a
no shot in hell. No shot in hell.
You don't think Gamergate was a huge influence on the 2016 election?
I think Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate, and Democrats have to stop handpicking their individuals without engaging with the public at all. Nobody wanted Hillary Clinton. Nobody really wanted Obama either, if we really want to be honest with ourselves. Nobody really wanted Kamala Harris. We just get handpicked, and
more people wanted Hillary than wanted Trump in 2016.
Yeah, and that's why. And that's
objectively, that's why she won the popular vote. Yeah,
she won the popular vote, but it doesn't matter about the popular vote. Doesn't matter.
Well, obviously,
it doesn't matter how popular. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much popularity you manufacture so that you get the person to vote for. You have to be strategic about it. And it's like, instead of being strategic of like, hey, let's
the reason Trump won. I'm just saying that Gamergate. I know a fair amount of people who said the SJWs forced my hand. I had to vote for Trump. Right?
Yeah, and like all 5 of them. all
Look,
5 of
I don't want to say
them
it was just
never
Gamergate.
showered.
Gamergate was a genre. Gamergate was a genre starter, and it was an entire media ecosystem that was Gamergate coded, and there was all this anti SJW, this very like
So
the left has
much
gone too far, like all
coding.
this stuff. Yeah, I know. I love it here. But it was and it was also like super well funded by like the Koch brothers and all this shit, like who funded all of the like
the
the
Daily
Dave Rubens and stuff.
Wire and the Dave
Yeah, Daily
Rubens
Wire,
and,
who were
yeah.
bringing on all
Yeah,
the same
but-
people to talk about who were radicalizing all these people, normalizing all this stuff. They had people like Stefan Molyneux on talking about brain sizes, and like this was
Sure.
all like hyper normalized during this time.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I guess my pushback is it kind of starts and stops there. It doesn't lead to any type of actual political action that ought to be of concern. Where,
Voting?
like, all of those Gamergate people are still, the math is on my side. They're not going to vote anyway. Like, there's the people who vote overwhelmingly, it seems to be, are just older generations of people. So unless we get some Gamergate where the old people get really upset and want to resurrect Charlie Chaplin and go back to the old days of black and white and shit, like overall, I think we're pretty okay. But
Well,
I will agree
think
that
most of,
like
Yeah, I think you're ignoring and kind of brushing aside the millions of people of an audience that these people have and an influence of
Yes.
age ranges of primarily 20 to 35-year-olds, but also a lot of people 40 to 65 who watch these shows, specifically Shapiro, Walsh. Walsh is a little more recent, not in like the 2016, but these people had a pretty huge influence and were definitely riding the coattails of the Gamergate movement. Milo Yiannopoulos.
yeah, I don't think it's enough though. I'm not convinced that it's enough. That's my push.
it was a pretty close
mean,
election.
Ryan, did you get laid?
What?
Oh.
Oh, the beats. I was so confused about that. Like,
All right, here's what I want to do. We can get it's fine if we move into the Trump conversation once we open the panel up.
sure.
I insist
wanted
on it.
to, if we can, let's hinge it on that MAGA propaganda and why the Sweeney thing's even happening. That way we stay kind of in the realm. What
Sure.
I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. Somebody keeps saying that Andrew wants to join. If somebody can go let him know, the panel is pinned. It's in the chat now. It's ready. And while everybody hops backstage, I'm going to go ahead and run through the donos real quick. And you guys feel free to respond as needed. But another big shout out to Jess Gerald again with the big hundo. We love you very much. Mr. Bill says I'm going to go those jeans if they are all say what the fuck? Propaganda. American Eagle can thank the left for making them rich. I think that's fair.
Oh, he's saying I'm going to go buy them if the left calls them Nazis.
Yeah, and
Because
he's
I
the
want
target
to
audience of
counter it.
this.
That's
Yeah.
what
The
this is
stereotypical
This
man.
is the guy. This
This
is the
is the
guy that
guy.
they wanted.
The
like-
one oh
This
wait,
is
I
why
know
they
this
went up
person.
18%,
Wait, hold on,
18%
I know.
stocks.
I actually was listen. I don't know. Shout out to Wick. Hi, Mr. Bill. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are still having difficulty getting potato chips out of your opening the bag. I have that meme or that gif. It's amazing. I know he's a wicker.
That's hilarious.
So shout out to
Oh, and
Wick's
happy
community.
birthday. Shout out to Wick. It's his birthday.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
happy
happy
birthday,
birthday,
Wick.
Wick.
Happy birthday, Wick.
I should
W.
message
Wick.
him.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. Thumping Weevil made her appearance on the screen the other night. Such a joy to have. I hope she makes her way back another night. It's a pun. Don't take it to heart. Jeans/jeans. Get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I feel
probably
like
what the
some
marketing team
people-
started
I
inside.
think everyone gets the pun.
Of course.
mean,
yeah,
nobody's
that's
debating
also-
whether or not it was a pun.
But I feel like what is that game that you play with the cards?
Taboo. Taboo.
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity. You can say the most effed up stuff in that, and it gets dirty and racial and sexist. And but everybody laughs, don't they? Everybody sits there and fucking laughs, and you find out who the weak ones are when they don't, right? Like that's a quick way to find out who's triggered by any and everything by that game alone. And I feel like this is almost like just playing that game. That's all that is. All right. What?
I don't like that take, but we can move on.
The Cards Against Humanity?
No, I mean I agree. I agree with you about Cards Against Humanity being a game where you like make very edgy jokes. I don't agree that like this is like that's what's happening here.
I'm gonna
But
weed
it
out
I
the
wasn't
mean,
even.
I
weak
guess
But it,
consumer. No, Ryan, we have to weed out the weak consumers by putting a Nazi in every ad just to make
no,
sure.
what I'm
it's
saying
so
though is
true.
it wasn't even meant to be that way,
No, it wasn't.
right? It wasn't meant
Sure.
to be. It wasn't meant to be racy or like an on the edge kind of joke or anything like that. But the fact that people are getting upset by it, it's like, my God, if you were playing Cards Against Humanity, you wouldn't make it. Y-
Well,
y-
just to be clear, I usually win Cards Against Humanity because I'm hilarious, just for what it's worth. But I'm not. Again, I'm not offended. I don't think anybody on this panel is offended by it. Nobody
No,
here,
I don't think so either.
and I think most of the people I've seen discussing this like doesn't. There's a few people who say it's like silly. There was a couple videos I saw like TikToks of people who were like pretty appalled, and like some people were kind of emotional, but like almost no one's been like, how dare they? It's more like analytical.
Read the room,
like,
it's like, hey, read the room, guys. Like, look what
exactly.
you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying mostly too.
Yeah. Okay. And Evan says, I like slightly erotic ads and are happy to see them come
God.
back. Miss Sarah, could you please play the horse video with the blonde hair, blue-eyed woman? Yes, we do have that one. I will drop that in during open panel. I'll drop it in just for you, Evan. Grid says with a big 20, tell you what I noticed. Sydney is smoking hot. 90% of the wokies bitching about this are the best leftover dog water. Also, Kissy Cat says Sydney has mid face and great tits, so there's that. All right, I mean, does anybody think she's not? I mean, not
She's not my
pretty? Or
type. Look, I knew a lot of Sydney Sweeney looking people at my high school, and they were not exactly the top tier women. But she's got a good body. I don't think she's a
Sydney Sweeney
butterface,
looking
but
women is crazy.
yeah.
A little bit.
now there's like a type, like we would put it
I mean,
by.
she's like a blonde
I mean,
with
there
big
is,
boobies.
like-
I think that's a type. I think it's a type.
listen, okay,
It's a
like,
right wing type for sure.
I don't know about that. I think like there's a
Oh,
lot of
come on,
women
man.
with the
Right wing,
Sydney's.
and they all have big
There's-
blonde tittied wives. Like that's a thing. Like you can see the Republican wife is like a look.
That's
I-
fair.
but she's fine. I don't know. Yeah.
Mr. Bill says, Sarah, for context, please Google the people that American Eagle sponsor. Pretty diverse, in my opinion. Actually, because
it.
I did look into the company, but because Soy Pill had already kind of laid the groundwork of like, there's a bunch of Jewish guys that did this and yada yada yada.
Jews
I
control American Eagle. That's not
highly
anti-Semitic
doubt,
to say.
yeah. But for context, yes, I'll throw it out there. When I looked at all of the stuff that they sponsor, it's like they're really big into Special Olympics. They had the whole LGBTQ sponsorship. There was like a lot of all over the place. The Airy branch is very into sponsoring girls, and helping them do stuff. So it's very incredibly very diverse. So
I'm not sure what that's trying to say, I guess.
Diversity.
It's
can
that
be
they're
anti-woke.
not trying to push Nazi propaganda. At worst, if Ryan's theory is correct, they are like, let's play on this controversy that we don't agree with the propaganda, but we're going to use it to spin up some stupid thing and raise their stock prices. Like they're probably
18%
not
I mean,
stock
like-
explicitly far right. Like
Also,
nationalists.
Sydney Sweeney is apparently very upset about all this. She was crying on her Instagram live.
Well, white women get upset at
Sad.
everything,
I
Charlie.
believe
So,
it. Oh, man.
whatever.
Sydney
I would
Sweeney
be
tears.
listen.
Sydney,
If I was,
I will comfort you. Sydney.
I would be upset. I would be upset in her position if people were accusing me of participating in this, or if really crazy white supremacists were like, "Yes, you're our girl." I'd be like, "Oh no."
100%.
That's fair.
She'll be fine. She's rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be
Yeah.
all right. Casey keep on trucking says Sydney should be on Sarah's horse video, please. Yeah, well, how do you know it's not her? And a vibe says, "Go girl, go with those sexy jeans. Did you wear jeans for this too?" I almost thought about putting on my jean jacket just for shits and giggles, but I was like, I'll get too hot with all the lights down here and everything. Pass says it's been longer. Much love, Sarah. Here's to your continued growth and success. If you ever need me, you know how to reach me. Yes, I do. Pass you the best. American Eagle ad didn't go viral until liberals had something to say about it. They knew what they were doing.
That's bullshit. Like, we understand. Like,
Everything
I
Sydney
think
Sweeney
there's
goes
some.
viral.
Yeah, most media, most ads go viral. especially on a company like American Eagle, and especially considering it's Sydney Sweeney. You're trying to say that like the liberals were mad, but at the same time, it's Sydney Sweeney. She is one of the 8 girls in sort of like American media right now. So to say that like only liberals got mad about it and only saw it because of her, no, like there are people who genuinely like Sydney Sweeney and watch that ad because they like Sydney Sweeney. And that's not even the ad that like made it, from my understanding. The actual ad is like the ones where she's talking about her ass and shit. That's like the one I even when I was first initially doing a quick double check, that was the one that I saw first.
No, absolutely. There's 2 different ads. And second of all, if you go on YouTube right now and you search like Sydney Sweeney jeans, whatever, you'll find the actual ad. And then the next top video, at least when I did it, it was not some lefty complaining about it. It's a compilation video from some right-wing channel that made like all these videos of every left winger even mentioning it. Right.
I saw Doja. I saw Doja Cat
making fun of her,
because listen, if you ever have seen a Doja Cat live, they are magical experiences. I saw that woman snort coke on TikTok. It's crazy, and then act like she did.
Doja's something else.
Yeah, she's something else. But like she was making that joke of like that ad, and I saw a bunch of other accounts making fun of it. I was like, what are they talking about? Like, and like they all have like the blue eye filter, and then that was how like I stumbled upon like, oh, this is real. Like this wasn't a, but anyway.
Yeah. Trib says, is the goal of pushing hot white women from the right a pushback against the left being anti-fat shaming, or is it something deeper, y'all think?
I don't think it's on purpose, but it's capitalizing off of the, oh, I'm tired of seeing these people in my ads. It got too woke. So anytime there's a skinnier white person in an ad, every single right winger on the terminally online right is like, oh, look, we're back. Look, we're no more woke ads anymore. Like, it's ridiculous. But like, you know, this is the same people that Joe is saying are stupid. It's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, you can't fucking buy Target clothes because there's a black lady selling them. Like, grow the fuck up and buy your clothes.
Fair enough. To Andy Matter backstage. I can't see your face. You got to move. There's something in the way. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right. Even if Trump didn't physically grape minors, his fight to hide the files means he at least mentally raped minors. Either way, it's sick. El Trump, El MAGA.
But to be clear, he did
mentally
rape minors.
What is mentally? How do you mentally?
I think he means like he spiritually does it because he's defending them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a messy comment, but those $5 better be going to something good.
I'm just gonna buy me a
the Alan Dershowitz Defend Trump Fund.
Harry Ludwig saying, Ryan, Charlie, Sarah, tomatoes. Hi, Harry. Panel, how would you feel if Sarah did the American Eagle commercial?
I feel like that would be Nazi propaganda, Sarah. Don't do it.
I would feel the same. The same because of the aesthetics that I've talked about here. Like
I would be happy that you got your bag, but I would also be like, Sarah, come on. This looks bad.
Also, for the record, Sarah, you had a panel like a week ago that was a debate. You moderated a debate like a week ago that was, is the United States National Socialist? So you like, in fact, I would be more suspicious if you were in.
And all of their claims were terrible. That was Teriyaki.
Yeah, well, Teriyaki's a moron.
Teriyaki came to the table with that prompt, and I'm like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he's like, "Yes, it is 100%." And I'm like, "Nobody's gonna agree with you." Okay. He had to find somebody who had to take his side, even though they didn't agree with his side, just to find. I couldn't find anybody to take that position.
CG, thank you for the 14 months. I appreciate it, CG.
2.1 million OnlyFans creators, 86 million OnlyFans subs, 165 million men in the U.S. Men, it's up to you to stop paying.
He's an anti-gooner activist, and I can say I'm pro-gooning everyone.
Why is he talking about OnlyFans? Where did we?
I don't know.
No one said anything about that.
It's always on his mind.
I think we were talking about sexualizing females at some point. I don't know.
Oh, I see. So the 86 million OF subs are all men. Is that the claim?
From America, evidently.
I don't know.
Well, OnlyFans isn't only the sex stuff, right? Like
they
absolutely.
they expanded to even just like general media. I know some of my DJ colleagues are on OnlyFans that just do curated sets because they don't have the same type of what's it called, copyright infringement. So it's a little bit easier to do things like do live streams and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Use that information
Originally
however you like. So
Cat GPT with the Big Ten, Copacino and Coca-Cola for the panel.
We're all
Uh,
seething and coping, so
We're
Yeah.
all seething and coping. And Lord says it's okay to be racist because Ben Shapiro probably wouldn't have been racist to Soy Pill. Also, why does Soy Pill dress like a toddler? Are you bait?
Yeah, I do this to attract children, obviously. No, what the fuck? Ben Shapiro wouldn't have been racist. Ben Shapiro just is racist. What's the one you skipped over, Sarah? I want to see that one. Was it
Oh,
bad?
that was I don't do the $2. Yeah, I just don't do
Damn.
the $2. They know better.
Yeah. Also,
So Bill's
like,
looking for a role
this
in
guy,
Trump's
this guy
admin.
dresses like a toddler. Well, you fucking write like a 12-year-old. So get your Leet Speak 2005 Xbox bullshit
Shots
out of there, dude.
fired, nerd. All right, we'll get through a few more and then we'll bring the panel on. Chef Dylan says, just got here. What's up, y'all? This is evidence libs are too immature to hear the word gene without crapping crapping themselves and needing a group therapy session. All self-reports. Shots fired.
Notice how mad
can I
everyone
engage with
on
that a
this
little
panel
bit?
was.
Oh, yeah,
Everyone
go
was
ahead.
seething and seething and
I'm
joking.
so confused, and maybe the folks coming in can like explain this a little bit better.
Joe, they can't
I
trust
don't
me.
know how or why there's this idea that we can have a commentary on a particular perspective. There's a bunch of different perspectives that exist within this, but yet our perspective is the one. And again, I don't think we even have like full agreement on the ad itself. I think we're all on sort of like different lanes of this, but somehow like
Well, none of us
the
are
discourse
triggered.
gets reduced to that for some people. I'm kind of curious why that happens.
That's fair. That's well, I think because that's what we're seeing, right? Like in terms of like
Sure.
the little
I
videos
guess
of
so.
people whining and crying. BB says most people can't separate personal emotional responses from facts and the real world. It's called freedom of speech. What?
These
No
people
notes.
are-
He's right.
These people
Yeah.
are insane.
He's right. That's my argument. Thank you.
Chef Dylan says it's perfectly suitable for four leftists to be debating this topic, and they're not necessarily.
I'm not a
debating, I
leftist,
mean,
so I don't know, but that's a whole other thing. We
Leftist
can
is
probably
when
get into
you're
that
not
later.
MAGA, actually, so you are. Unless you are MAGA, I don't know.
are you MAGA? Are
I'm
you
just an independent
central?
communitarian friend.
Oh,
That's it.
That's even happier for me because you could play both sides. K2 says, question, how come none of these
Uh-oh.
people that are bitching about Sydney, bitching about the black teens that beat up the middle-aged white couple in Cincinnati?
These are the
These people know
these
the
are people that are
what?
like, thank God for Sydney
Hold on,
Sweeney
hold on,
bringing
hold on.
back
I'm
white
curious.
people into ads, because I have to look at all the like fucking black crime rage bait shit in my Twitter feed, and that's upsetting to me. So seeing a white person in a jeans ad, that's great. Like this person's.
Did you know there's
trying to
World
fuck-
Star videos, guys? Why aren't you talking about the World Star hip hop videos?
This is so random.
Fair enough.
By the way, I disavow beating up random black or white people on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I-
Very
no
brave
one
of
should
you.
get jumped. I'm against physical
Yeah.
assault.
I agree with that. And last one for now. There was no secret messaging in the KFC ad with the black family. They're saying, "Hey, look." I'll leave it there.
Yo, is he good? Like,
I don't,
and also what KFC at the okay.
Did that happen? I don't know.
I don't know. These people are
was
more
not a
tuned to
good
media
guy.
than
I
me.
think that guy made it up.
Guys.
These folks are more tuned to media than I am, I guess. All right.
Oh, all right. Well, we're ready for our panel backstage. Everyone buckle up, sit down, and enjoy the ride.
Okay. Hi everyone. How is it going? How do you all like this nightmare fuel? Now random people on the internet are gonna come yell at us. Why are you guys mad at Soy Pill? What are you mad about Soy Pill for? What did he do to you? What has the Soy Pill done to you? I love my standing desk. Oh shit, we're back. Hold on. Oh god, Andrew Wilson is back. Ooh.
Is bootable, Andrew. They would have to pay a lot to boot you, but I'll do it if they pay $500, and then somebody else has to pay $500 to bring you back up. So they probably just shouldn't do it. But anyway, I want to go ahead and kick the floor out. You guys know the drill. Keep the interruptions to a minimum. Let's have some fun. Go ahead.
Ryan,
so just
admit
to set the
that
tone.
you are jealous of my blonde hair and blue eyes. Just
You're
admit it.
beautiful.
That's why
You're a
hate
beautiful
me.
boy, Evan. Okay, but does everyone agree that Yahtzee propaganda explicitly constructed a racial hierarchy, placing the Aryan ideal at the top, the blonde hair, blue eyes? This is at the top of the Aryan racial hierarchy of the National Socialist movement. Everyone agrees with that, right?
That was
By the guy
American
with-
Eagle.
Yeah.
Did not do that
No.
though. They
By-
said that
by the guy with the black eyes.
We can
Anyway.
talk about what American Eagle did.
Let's
That's
go
not what I
one
asked, right?
at a time.
I don't even agree with that. No.
By the
Okay,
guy
so
with
let's
the
dig into
brown
that.
hair,
So
you
you
mean,
don't think that the National Socialist movement,
I want
as
you
led by
to
our
restate
the mustache
question.
guy,
I want you to give me the evidence.
you want me to give you the evidence
Yeah.
that the National Socialist
Because
movement
what you just did
created
was
a
a bunch of
racial
mass
hierarchy.
diarrhea. Stop restating it and fucking give me the evidence, dork.
Okay, so does anyone else require evidence for it, or am I just doing it for
Yeah,
Andrew?
I
I'm just
want
curious.
evidence, dork. Give us the
I
evidence.
think it'll
dork.
be okay. So like,
Give us
to-
give us the evidence for that shit you just made up, stupid dork. Give us the
To-
evidence.
to
Telling-
soften-
just to be clear,
While he's
Andrew, I want to be on
Just
record.
be
You're saying
clear,
that I'm
stupid
right.
dork.
Just
Give
to
us
be
the
clear,
evidence.
Andrew, you're saying that I'm making up the idea.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let me engage with him.
I know.
Yes.
Let's go
Yes,
one at
I
a
am,
time.
Ryan. Show us the evidence, dork.
Okay, well, let me restate it so we can make sure
Oh
everyone's
my
on the same
God,
page.
How
okay?
many times are you gonna
Yeah.
say the same shit? Just
One
give me the
more
evidence.
time,
Right.
at least one more time, apparently, right?
Oh my
So I just
God.
want to be clear. You are asking me for evidence.
Evidence,
that
yeah.
the
You have it?
Nazis, as we're saying
Can you give
here,
it to me?
they
Can
had
you
a
give me the
racial
evidence?
hierarchy where they had blonde
Yeah.
hair and blue eyes at the top of that
Yes,
racial hierarchy.
Yes, Ryan. Give me the evidence,
Okay,
dork.
open a fucking history book, Andrew. Go open any history book.
The evidence is you made
Oh.
it up. That's what I thought, Ryan.
I'm sorry you didn't learn anything about World War II. I'm sorry, you're a dumbass. Like that's
Wait, yeah, Andrew.
History book, you got nothing, dork.
Go ahead.
Open a book, dude. I don't care. I'm not.
Pardon me, gentlemen.
So I do actually have I have a link
Hold on.
of the
I wanted to hand
Nazi
it
racial
to
hierarchy
Far-
because they had a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, send it right now. And
Okay,
let's
go
make
ahead.
sure we
I
know
wanted
who
to
it's
hear from
from,
you.
right? Because no, that's not actually accurate, Ryan. But I would love to see your fucking evidence. The reason
what's your
the reason
claim
that
then,
you
Andrew?
guys suppose this is my claim.
This guy's
No.
the
The reason
Aryan
that
race.
you fucking idiots suppose this shit is because somebody told you that once, and you never bothered to look
When I
into
learned
it.
about World War II in school, someone told me
Oh,
about my
you
teacher.
did.
I learned about
Yeah.
World War II in school.
And
Yeah.
so what was
Alright.
the source? What was the source for this blue-eyed, blonde-haired hierarchy that you got from? What was the source of it?
My history textbook. I don't.
Your
I don't know
history
do that.
textbook told you that, huh?
No, I think like so it's like yikes. So Coder, respectfully, I think what Andrew's pushing on is sure we might have this idea that it might point to that direction, but if you have a difficult time pinpointing that, it doesn't really make the argument that good. No,
No,
is that what
but
you're
the
kind of
point
knocking
is,
at?
like,
Andrew?
Yeah, but this
Why
is-
are you
this
saying
is
it's
kind
going
of
down?
just common knowledge.
Wanna be
This
clear?
is common
My
knowledge. isn't
argument
it?
is that Ryan made it the fuck up, and he wants you to suppose
Yeah,
that
so
it's
Andrew's
true.
doing what he always does, which is
Can I
avoiding
finish?
having any
Ryan,
actual
let me
conversation
finish,
by
Ryan.
putting pressure
Let
on
me
a
finish,
useless
Ryan.
point that no one
Andrew,
disagrees
you've
with
been
except for
interrupting
him.
me.
All
Finish,
right,
Ryan.
You also
everybody
stood
shut
the
the
I'd
fuck
fuck
love to
up.
hear what
Shut
Andrew
up,
has to
shut
say.
up,
Let me
shut up,
Yeah, let me
shut up,
finish,
shut
Ryan.
up.
Argument
Hold
straight.
on, hold on. I want to hand it over to Faraway. He hasn't interrupted anybody. He kindly and politely raised
Fuck.
his hand. Go ahead, Faraway.
Yeah, so I have a question to Ryan, right? Like, do you think Hitler was a dictator?
Yeah.
So how can the hierarchy be blue eyes and blonde hair if he was a dictator and boss of the whole Reich?
Dude, far away. That's so smart. No one has ever pointed out that Hitler wasn't Aryan. That's so fun.
I wasn't asking it. You was. I was asking Ryan, wasn't I?
Okay. So the ideology of the National Socialist movement did not they didn't put Adolf in power based on deciding they had blonde hair and blue eyes. This was the ideology glorified a pure German archetype, which was the blonde hair and blue eyes, and everybody knows this. Andrew's playing dumb. You're playing dumb, probably. But everyone
no
else knows
evidence, but no evidence.
Ryan, you're mistaken.
A book.
You
So like,
are
a
inflating
book
the
that you.
SS and done by.
Hey guys. Guys, do you think I should leave? This got weird. I feel like we're getting like. Oh, oops, my bad. I was talking to my chat. Oops. Oops. Should I leave? But because this is like. This is like weird.
Just let me fucking speak, please. Thank you.
That's not going to be possible. Swipe.
Sorry, I
know.
forgot. I
So
forgot
this,
about the.
First of all, the ad is
to
brilliant.
have
I've
you
got good
guys
jeans.
on.
My jeans are blue.
Brilliant.
Do this with a
Yeah.
bunch of people with
Huh?
different
Good ad.
colors of skin, even different colors of their eyes, and they can all say at the end, "My jeans are blue," because the fucking jeans are blue. Okay, it's a brilliant ad. It's a good idea. They could do it with lots of other celebrities. No one would be upset if they were doing this with a black celebrity or with some type of brown celebrity, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean.
Shapiro
And
would be
that
upset
double
about it.
standard here is actually the problem. We are increasing the racial tension and actually increasing the types of neo-Nazi sentiment that you guys are pointing out. We are radicalizing people in that direction when we tell them that actually there is something that you need to be careful of when you're talking about yourself being white or having blue eyes. This is not Nazi Germany. If Nazi Germany wants to be very particular about how people propagandize for their businesses, I mean, I think free speech is a real problem in Germany, but that's something for them to work out. There is nothing Nazi-like about an ad with a white woman with blue eyes saying, "I have good genes. Your genes are passed down from mother to father." Even the whole conversation about genes, we need to. You leave room for only the freaks, the bigots, and the crazy activists to have this conversation when normal people pretend that this or step away from this because it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about. Okay, we need to be able to have this conversation. And no, there's nothing Nazi-like about having Sydney Sweeney talking about having good genes.
No, the
Okay,
only
so
reason
just to
that
be clear, when we
people
talk about the
Okay.
it's okay to be white
No,
thing,
the
it is
other-
a dog whistle that people were using intentionally. And the whole point of a dog whistle
I
is they're
understand,
pretending
Ryan.
that
I
it's not a,
understand. But the purpose
it's the
of the
plausible
dog
deniability.
whistle,
That's the whole thing of it.
Ryan, yes, but listen, the purpose of the dog whistle is not to attract other Nazis, other white supremacists, and people who think that
No, it's to
being white is
normalize
better
it.
than
I know,
everything else.
yeah.
Exactly. So you know what the left should have done when this came out? I actually am willing
Ignored
to
it.
even agree with the order of
Completely
events
ignored
here,
it.
that it was people on the right.
think-
Exactly, they should have
Completely
fucking
agreeing with
ignored
you,
it.
Jeremy,
But
sure.
exactly,
they
when
cannot-
people were coming out and saying, "Oh wow, this is a
Oh,
win,
wait,
America
you
is
seem
so
to
back,
be the
baby. We have white
angriest
people."
one.
Hold on.
Look,
If
she's
people are
Jewish.
saying
You can't
we're
help it.
so
We get
back,
angry
baby,
at really
we have
innocuous
white
things.
women in our we have white women in our ads now. The left should have said, who cares? Who fucking cares? Why are
True.
you giving them something to say, look how fucking crazy these people are, and look how racist these people are? Because
Ellie,
it
you're
is
more
racist.
mad than
This
any of the
reaction
people
is
on this
only
panel
happening
about
because
this.
Sydney Sweeney
You're-
is white.
Tally,
I'm not
Tally,
mad.
hold on. They're gonna the people to my, I don't know how it looks like for you guys, but the people to the right of me are gonna monopolize this shit. I don't want to monopolize this shit.
Soyfil and Charlie are my frenemies.
but
so.
but I agree with you. I agree with you. I also agree with what Andrew said. I think that if you have a particular claim about what you're observing, you got to substantiate it.
Yep.
Like, I think it's more reasonable to say that,
Okay, well, I posted
you
the link,
know, that's cool. So like, I think it's very
Well, but-
reasonable to say
Who's right there?
that if I'm going to cover both points, the Nazi Germany one and then the other one, right? So like certain communitarians, in particular Carl Schmitt, talked about the idea of constitutive opposites, that the idea that there's always sort of like this perpetual us versus them. And I think it's reasonable to say, if you point to people like Carl Schmitt and then Chantal Mouffe expanded on this, and other communitarians, this argumentation that Nazi Germany, for instance, was trying to constitute an opposite. And by constituting an opposite, creating a them, that them included a bunch of other people. And maybe you could say that that pointed to Aryan, that was in his, that was in, what the fuck was that manifesto called for our boy Addy Adolf?
Mein Kampf?
Mike
Yeah,
Struggle.
Mein
Yes,
Kampf.
yes. So like he mentioned the idea of Aryan. It's also in the book that I mentioned, racial
My Journey.
hygiene.
Isn't that what it's called? My Journey.
My Journey. Yeah.
That's why
like
women
there's
are
also
always talking about
Nice
their fucking
struggle.
journeys because they're a bunch of Nazis.
I don't know.
Nice
like there's
struggle.
also the pointing to the like racial hygiene is a book by Dr. Porter, I think his name. I'll put it in the side chat when I get a minute. It speaks to the idea of like how what the us was in practice, and what Aryan meant, stuff like that. It's boring book shit. But I will agree with you that Tally, that yeah, you know, when fringes monopolize conversations, it makes it very hard for different expressions to exist, right? Like I'm at the camp of, okay, this is going to piss a
Well,
lot of
because
people
normal
off.
liberals
feel like
are
this is
backing out of
not
the conversation.
going-
Normal
this
liberals should
is
be speaking
not-
up.
I
and
think
saying
as they
there's nothing fucking
should.
wrong with this ad. There's nothing wrong with promoting people who have blonde
I
hair and
think
blue
that-
eyes.
I
But
think that
instead,
this
they're
I
is-
never
afraid
said
to
there.
be
listening to
No
this
one here
panel.
said that. This whole
Yeah.
panel.
Yeah,
we're
Ty-
talking
Ty-
for an hour and a
Ty.
half, and nobody said what you're
Ryan,
saying.
Blue eyes needs to be careful.
Tally, I agree
K2
with you, Bubba.
says- K2 says, if you disagree with these people, you are a windmill of friendship card carrying member every time. BB says, 10-second rage baited already, Ryan. Straight to the
Yeah, because
point.
he's
Andrew.
fucking bullheaded, dude. He's pretending to not know like how the Aryan
And
race
you're
works.
not?
I mean, no, I'm not. I'm
Andrew,
not
you
that
talked over that
bullheaded.
question.
Not
I
that
want to make. I
obtuse.
want the record to show that. Like, I agree with Andrew's push there. It's a toxic push. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But yeah. I mean, like next time, I think the
I'm not going to
Well, I
start.
provided a source,
under-
okay, from the
yeah, you
Holocaust
start. You
Encyclopedia,
provided.
right?
Yeah, and you know what that source doesn't say? That the Germans had a hierarchy in which blonde hair, blue eyed people were at the top of. It literally doesn't
It actually
say that
says
anywhere in
the
the source.
Yazis ideal. Actually says exactly that. The Yazis idealize Aryans as blonde, blue-eyed, athletic, and tall.
Show me which part.
I posted the link.
But who
I
cares?
do.
What the
I got
fuck?
the
Okay,
link.
so
This is-
Sarah
this
has to
is
do
like-
some
this
work.
is-
Common knowledge.
This
This
is
is
common.
Sarah has
This
to do
is
some
common
work.
knowledge, man. This
Sarah
is
has to
What he
do
does
common
is try to
knowledge.
avoid any
Sarah
actual
has to do
conversation
some
happening, so he
I
tries
will
to dig into
dive
this rabbit hole,
into
right?
the link while you guys are arguing.
Yeah.
But first, let me get through two more. Grid says Tally is killing it. I need her as a guest on my show. Yes, Tally. I think we're all about to be messaging you here in the next couple.
Yeah, I love how Tali came in and pointed out what normal liberals should be saying and how they shouldn't be all outraged, which is exactly what we all did. We just had a casual conversation about
No,
ways this could be interpreted by
I
various
disagree.
people.
Ryan,
Nobody,
I
nobody said
disagree.
anything insane. Nobody
I
said
don't think
the American
that's
Eagle
how
needs to
you
be
handle-
canceled.
So
Nobody
Ryan,
said
I
Sydney
agree.
Sweeney's a Nazi.
Hold on,
Like,
you're asking for cookies because you're like, look, we didn't go as crazy as we used
yeah,
to.
I
go
want a
5
fucking
years
cookie.
ago.
Yeah.
We're
Ryan,
not
I just want to
calling
let you know I can't
Nancy
even find the
or
word
American
blonde
Eagle.
in this
First
thing.
of all, there are people. there
Okay, well,
are
you didn't
people
click on my
who are
article
doing
then.
that.
Yeah,
There
I
are people
did.
who are calling to do
It's
that.
the
But it
it's
Well,
the
you're wrong.
Nuremberg
Yeah.
race laws. Nuremberg
Oh
race
my
laws.
God.
Can you
No, that's the
post
second. That's not even
No,
from
that's not
Ryan,
me.
Andrew.
That's
Click on the
that's
right
somebody else.
link.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So which
Dumbass.
link am I
Ryan,
looking
saying
at?
The
here?
one from
The-
Ryan.
What I
white
posted.
The
people with blue
encyclopedia?
eyes-
Wait, you posted
Like I
this from
said, the Holocaust Encyclopedia.
from the
Yeah.
Holocaust Encyclopedia.
Yeah, is that not a
Aryan
reliable source for
Nazi
you?
Why would that
ideas.
not be
Okay,
a
I got it.
reliable
Hold on, I
source?
will read it. Shut up. Nazi ideas about that. How do you say Aryan race? Hitler and Nazis identified Germans as members of Aryan race according to the Nazis.
What's
Aryans-
their
Why are we
source?
hearing
I
this
want their
there?
Hey,
source.
Andrew.
at-
Andrew, can I ask
Andrew,
a question real
my
quick?
source is the
Oh,
history of Hitler's
Nazis
Andrew-
second
idealize.
degree. Go
Hold on,
read
it says it right here. Nazis idealized Aryans as blonde, blue-eyed, athletic.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
tall.
So hang on. This is from a Jewish organization who's saying this.
Listen to this. Yeah, that's the problem with it. Yeah. You can't
Andrew
trust me 'cause
Wilson,
it's from
Andrew
the
Wilson,
Jews,
can I
right?
ask
You're
a
right, buddy.
question? May I
I want
ask a
the
question?
source.
It is
Andrew
a problem.
Wilson, did the Holocaust happen?
Yeah. But anyway, I want the source.
Wait, how many
Okay.
people died in the Holocaust?
Just
6
wanted to-
million, as far as I'm aware. I still want the
Actually, a lot
source.
more than
Okay,
that. That's
just
how many
wanted-
Jews died.
Wait,
a
do you
lot
have
more
a
people
source
than
for that,
died.
Andrew?
Yeah,
Does
there's all
Andrew
sources
give
for that.
any
Just
black
wanted
This is
to
a
make
different
sure.
question.
He's not a
Can you give
fucking
This is a
Holocaust
different
denier.
question.
No, I
So I
want
don't
to
know
know
where
where
you-
So,
that sounds like a
God.
large
Wait,
number. I
hang on,
wanna
hang
know
on,
your
hang on.
source.
Let me defend myself because these are some crazy ass accusations being thrown at me, right?
I didn't make an
First of
accusation.
all,
I just
don't
wanted to
act
double
like
check.
Where in the world would you ever get this idea that somebody, me, who's historically literate, actually historically literate,
You couldn't
would-
even click on
would
the right
think-
link from Ryan,
would-
buddy.
would
Like,
think
you
these
couldn't read
crazy-
the name right.
Does that-
People were
wait, I'm
so
sorry.
To be
late.
fair,
You couldn't- it doesn't even
hold
say
on.
Ryan under that
Shut
link.
up.
dude.
Can I side with Andrew?
Multiple-
It seems like
Hang on,
that's the trend.
Hang on,
Okay.
let me at least say my piece, right? Fucking dumb dork with your stupid hat. The case of the matter is that I am actually historically literate. Oh, did I click the wrong link? Therefore, he must not be historically. Good job, soy pilly fucking retard.
Maybe a
So
little
back to
upset about
this,
that comment, I think.
Here's what I understand.
Ableism too.
I understand
Na-
how
Nazis were also very
I
ableist.
understand how racialism operated inside of Nazi Germany and in for instance, If we were to take fascist Italy, You would have the
Sure.
you would have a completely different model than what you would have inside of Germany, right? Because of Catholicism and other things. It is actually only the case that there were some advocates inside of the Nazi party and eugenics programs who did want to push this type of ideology, but at the government level, it's not necessarily true. Why would
So-
I bring this up when you talk about the Holocaust Museum, right? Is it because you just don't rely on a source because it's a Jewish source? No, because they may be sourcing to information which is not great. They just might be sourcing to information which isn't great. If they had a primary source that they link to, I'm happy to read it.
Yeah, so
That's
instead of
how
wasting
that's
half an
how
hour, Andrew,
history's
you can just
done.
make your claim of what
I just
the Nazi
made it. I
hierarchy
or you
just
could have been
made
reading.
it.
Okay,
What is it?
so
You could've been
so I
checking
do
into the
have
I
a
just made
friend
it.
that's a has
Go
a
ahead, Kevin.
PhD in German history.
Good
That's
for him. Is he
watching
Jewish?
my stream. Not Jewish, no, just German. And they have said that racial hierarchies were central to Nazi ideology.
I want the
and-
evidence, not I said so.
Cool story, bro.
What?
Prove it.
Yeah,
Andrew
so-
doesn't
okay,
believe
so
in
Andrew,
Nazis without
Andrew,
racial
Andrew,
Volume
hierarchy.
one,
Where's the
chapter
racial
11,
hierarchy?
nation and
Friend.
The
race.
American.
Friend.
So where's the racial hierarchy in the American Eagle at?
First of all, we're not even talking about racial hierarchy. We're talking about the fact that Ryan said blonde hair, blue eyed. That was the top of the hierarchy. That's what I'm looking for evidence for.
Aryan, yes.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
show me the primary sources for this.
What would please you, Andrew?
primary
What's
source.
acceptable?
He wants
What's-
a- he
no,
wants a pri-
Tell me,
so
tell me
what-
what's an
Maybe a
acceptable
Mein
primary
Kampf?
source.
Andrew,
Like,
can
is
I
Mein
can I
Kampf good
guess what you're? Can I
Yes,
just make a guess
please.
what you're looking for,
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
From what I'm hearing you say, you're not disagreeing with the idea that Aryan was the us and non-Aryan was the them. Am I understanding you correctly there?
Correct.
Gotcha. So the thing that it sounds like you're contending with is the idea of what Aryan is pointing to.
Yes.
Right. So so you're familiar with what I'm throwing down, Schmidt,
So,
Booth,
for
all these other
instance,
fucking
you're right. For
communitarians.
instance,
Yeah.
here in the United States, most of our wartime billboards also showed blonde hair, blue-eyed boys going off to the front. Many of the superheroes had blonde hair and blue-eyed.
Same
And
with the Soviet
that was
art.
And then
And
in America,
Plenty
for
of North
instance,
Thing is-
African
thing is,
people with blonde hair and blue
was-
eyes. Plenty of
was
Middle
that-
Eastern
Please let
people
Andrew
with
cook,
blonde
Tally.
hair.
Please
hang
let
on,
Andrew
hang
cook.
on, hang on.
That's
Please let
not
Andrew
e-
cook.
every-
Was
yeah.
that due to the fact that the United States wanted only blonde hair, blue-eyed people at the top of the hierarchy? No, it's because it was part of their propaganda campaign. All I'm asking for is a primary source, right, which shows what it is that you're trying to demonstrate, so that we can at least have a
Andrew, the problem
conversation
is
under
we
the
don't know
same
what you're asking
suppositions.
for. What do you think Ryan is claiming when he says a hierarchy is
He
Aryan?
just said it, man.
No,
Like,
no,
what
no,
are you
no,
doing?
no, like, do it
Because
Tommy,
obviously, hold on,
goddamn.
real quick,
Andrew
Ryan,
wants us
real quick,
forced.
right?
Tommy B, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 20 gifted. What the fuck? Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you. Thank you.
We pointing
And
to
he's
here.
he's just contending to the source of it. That's it. If you don't have that, that's cool. We can probably table it if that's the case.
Yeah, and I'm fine
But
with that
if
I mean, I
you-
don't have it at my
yeah,
fingertips.
if-
I'll
but
look
if you
for
do,
one,
it's
but
cool.
everyone knows this is the case. Andrew's playing
Everyone
dumb.
doesn't
That's the
know
whole
the
thing I'm
case.
Okay,
pointing out.
Everyone doesn't know that.
can we confirm that when the word Aryan is said, we now have an association with blonde hair and blue eyes? We can all agree
No.
upon that, right?
Can I be
When-
honest with you?
Apparently
No.
not, because they're
Can I-
playing
can I-
dumb. Because Andrew's playing dumb.
This is
I'm not. No, like,
When-
God. I think.
Aryan,
What you're
Mm.
playing dumb or actually dumb? I don't think you're actually
When I
dumb.
think
So
of
it's one of the
Aryan,
two.
actually, Ryan, just so
I'm
you know,
gonna-
I think of Iran when I think of Aryan. Can you think of why that would be, Ryan? Why would it be
Because
that
the
I would think
word
of
has had
Iran?
multiple meanings in the past, Andrew.
Why,
and you
why,
being
well, why
so
would I
picky.
think of
Why,
that?
why is the word Asian
Well,
and
the term-
Caucasian?
the
I
term
don't understand.
Aryan,
You got to prove to me what it means,
Yeah,
Ryan.
Aryans
Let's
have
spend
Asians
30
for the
fucking minutes
Caucasus.
on this.
Aryans.
Oh,
They've
hey,
always-
hey, let me,
The definition literally says for Aryan relating to or denoting peoples speaking Indo-European or specifically Indo-Iranian languages or ancient peoples.
oh shit!
It was a term.
Sarah,
It was
wait,
a
wait,
term.
Sarah,
It
I
was a
looked it up.
term
Aryan is actually
appropriated
a yogurt drink from
appropriated
Turkey.
So-
I don't think it has anything
by
to
the
do
Nazis.
with
So
Nazis or even
the term-
race.
the
It
term
doesn't have
Aryan-
anything.
the term
Hold on,
Aryan was
hold on.
appropriated by the
The
Nazis.
second
That's
term.
Iran.
Hold on.
Sorry,
The second
that's Iran.
term. The second. That's the first definition. The second. It does say dated. And then the second one, it says in Nazi ideology of or denoting white non-Jewish people, especially
Yep.
those of Northern European
accept that
origin
too.
or descent,
Sure.
typically having blonde hair and blue eyes, and regarded as the supposedly superior racial.
Well, at least we
treatment.
settled
and
that.
can I okay,
Well, that
so
was
like
fun.
to build upon that a little bit, because there's two parts of this, right? Like, and I talked about this within my thing and like the main like thing. If you didn't watch that, if this is ending up anywhere, watch the first half of the panel. So like in the book God, I just lost my train of thought. In the book Nazi Conscience, Claudia Coons kind of knocks on this idea that it wasn't just Aryan wasn't just what you looked like, but you also had to adopt the ideas, the beliefs, and the
ideology, right.
sentiments that the Aryan race was at the top of the ideological spectrum. And when I say ideological, it's like how you look, how you behave, and all those things, and that you ought to take preference.
That's where the term
to,
honorary
to,
Aryan came from. The term
Sure.
honorary
Yeah.
Aryan came
And-
from you're trying to adopt this way of life. Your guys,
Sure.
what Ryan's doing is he conflates propaganda, right, with the truth of the matter. And so the thing is all I'm trying to do is say, if you come in with the supposition of, isn't it true that there's this vast Nazi hierarchy where blonde hair, blue-eyed people were at the top of it? Well, no, Ryan, that's actually not true. And so I'm not
No,
going to
like,
accept
It
that
was central
framework
to
as
the
being true.
ideology,
It's
and
not
we've
true.
all established we've
The top of
established
the
this
Nazi
completely. And
hierarchy
it's
is simply not blonde
importantly
hair and
central
blue
to
eyes, Ryan.
propaganda.
Wait.
So I
Importantly,
think
central to
so
propaganda.
Andrew, so if I'm understanding what you're
you say hierarchy, are you contending with the idea that like, oh, there was like they prioritized or made second-class citizens of people that weren't Aryan? Because I don't think Ryan has ever made that claim.
Why would that be necessary for hierarchy?
That's what I'm asking. What do you mean when you say there was not
so
this
hierarchy is going to be people at the top, people below them, below them,
What does
below
that
them,
mean?
below
What
them,
does it mean
below
on
them.
top? What does that mean?
Well, I don't know. You head the country, you're in the
No,
positions
I'm
of power,
asking
you're
you,
in the
what does that
positions of
mean?
authority.
Do you
I'm
think they
telling
said,
you what
"We
it
think
means.
blonde hair and blue-eyed was better? Because that's all Ryan's saying.
No, they didn't
literally
believe that
it.
blonde hair,
They didn't
blue-eyed
believe
was
that.
better.
Okay,
No,
it
cool.
wasn't
literally
yeah
did.
like
No.
okay, so to
No.
give it like god
Couldn't
damn,
that have
do I
just
do I have
been-
to be on the
couldn't that
bottom?
have just
Do I have to
been,
be
like, because they did couldn't that have just been kind of coincidental? I mean, if I go to
so explicit, Sarah.
Scotland, if
like
I
in
It's
all
so
these books.
explicit. This is really weird. This
but
is
no,
like
what I'm
why
saying
is
is
it
like
weird,
if I go to
This is
Scotland and I see a bunch
common
of redheaded
knowledge.
people and they, you
Sorry,
know,
Sarah.
like I feel like it's just
Well, there's a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
swarthy Germans. My family
and,
comes from the
Andrew,
swarthy
Andrew,
Germans.
buddy,
They're
listen.
not all
Like
blonde
so
and blue-eyed.
I don't rope me in with these other people. Maybe I have to be on the bottom here. I don't know. But like something that I'm hearing in what you're saying, and maybe like I'll make a claim or sort of like speak to something, and maybe this is what you're throwing down. Like in different societies and in different communities, people will have this idea of who they are, like who the us is, and that dominant us.
And who belongs
And-
within that us categorization.
Right. And then what happens is that us tries to define itself. It can define itself by it looked, how they behave, all that shit. Good. Great.
Or they
so
can give multiple realms of qualia for it. So you don't have
Right.
to look this way, still be this thing. One way that you can indicate you are this thing is how you look this way. That's one way to do it. This is another way to
Yeah.
do it.
Hi,
This is
And
another way to
then-
do it.
how are you?
Specifically,
this is crazy
when
right
Ryan
now.
asked me though,
Um,
isn't it true that there's a hierarchy in X place and that this
Love
people
you,
group is
Avery.
on the
Hope
top
you're
of
doing
it
well.
and they look like this? The answer unequivocally is
In the
no.
ideology.
Stop.
Ideologically.
Bro. Stop, bro. Stop. We're not operating immediately under the same framework. Now, if you demonstrate that to me, I'm willing to concede it so we can operate on the same framework, or you can just fucking correct yourself
Well, when he
and then
gave
we
you a
can move
source
on.
and you
It's
said,
easy.
I don't trust these sources because their
What
sources
did,
are
if the
wrong.
source
What the fuck
didn't
does
make the
that
claim,
mean?
they're at the top of the hierarchy, bro.
What does
I'm gonna
that
go
mean to be
ahead
on
and
top? They said they
interrupt.
prioritize blonde hair and blue eyes, and you're like, that's not what I meant.
That's what
That's
it
what
means.
Ryan
Prioritize.
means.
Pardon me
Ryan
for
says
just
that
a
proves his point,
second.
so you're not
Mommy
contending
has
with
to
Ryan's
prove
do
his
some
point.
work, children.
Sarah has to do some work.
Thank you.
Good
The
Lord.
German Jonty comes in with a big 50 of something, I'm guessing. The German National Catechism is German primary source, serialized
Serialized.
to expound on the Aryan race propaganda. Werner
Propaganda.
May, Deutscher National Catechismus, second edition,
Pretty good.
in the citations,
Yeah.
where you can
So,
find
So
it.
yeah.
I just want to be clear.
As it
Hang
turns
on,
out,
Andrew.
people have been
Just
using
look at
beautiful
the
people for
topic. I believe the
propaganda
topic
since
tonight is
forever.
whether or not the ad is propaganda, right? That's the topic that we're talking about. So when you keep
Well,
saying
not-
propaganda as if it's like super distinct from what we're talking about, that is actually the topic. We're
I-
talking about Yahtzee
I'm
propaganda.
fine to
Yeah.
engage
So to
within
speak-
the idea of propaganda. Yes, I agree. It's fine to engage in the idea of propaganda, but just because X group uses propaganda and other X group or Y group uses propaganda doesn't mean it's for the same reasons, the same type, or
Never
even,
said it was.
or
Never made
even-
that claim.
Even
Agree,
other-
Andrew. True.
Dude, calm down. Maybe
We're
we
on the
can
same
make
page.
Thank you.
maybe
Avery,
we
I
can actually
appreciate
make
it.
some headway here.
Thank you.
So all I'm pointing out
You've
here
been
is
slogging
like,
us down for an
as-
hour, dude. Kill me.
I mean,
feel it. I'm sorry. I feel it. I'm
bro,
sorry. That's my
the
bad.
thing is
You should
that
apologize.
somebody
All
says,
this is proof something everyone here learned in like 9th grade.
does everybody agree with X? The answer is like, no. Give me the demonstration of the proof of that agreement, and you never did. You
Maybe
never
because
gave me the
Trump is in the
demonstration of the
Epstein
proof they're at
files.
the
Do you
top of
agree
this
with that?
hierarchy. You just made
Talk
it up,
about that.
Ryan. You made it up.
So
Made up the Aryan
to
racial
something that
hierarchy, yeah.
to something that Tally said, and to piggyback on what Andrew said, I do think that there is a sort of cultural expression in the United States that points to people that look like Sydney Sweeney as like sort of desirable individuals. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just Sydney
That
Sweeney
wasn't
that's
what I was
desirable.
saying.
That's why I said I'm piggybacking what I'm saying something separate to what you're saying.
Don't you
Is that
think
clear?
that what's all that's going on here is that leftists are mad because hot chicks are selling shit and it pisses them off because they want big, fat, ugly fucking bitches all over
Only
everything?
slightly. Only
Uh,
slightly.
That's
They
what
do
they
want. They
actually
do
want.
want this.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Andrew. They want this to
Yeah.
be a race thing. They want this to be. They want this to be.
Oh
Nazi
God, no!
propaganda.
Whoa,
So
whoa,
I do
whoa!
think
Hold
that it
on,
needs to
hold
be
on,
done.
hold on, Tally. Fuck
go
I'm
that
not
shit.
saying
Go
they. Is,
ahead.
Fuck.
okay. It's
Like,
the
so who's
royal
the so like
they.
yeah, so like who's the
People who
they
are
here? So
angry
far,
about this. The people
sure,
who are
I'd
angry about
I'd absolutely agree with you. There's
It
a
is
lot of
mostly
people.
leftist race baiters who are doing this. She is
Yeah,
right about
yeah,
that.
I'd agree.
This
Yeah,
is
And
I
fucking
did.
most
hilarious.
views, you're going to
This
say
is
it's from
crazy.
leftists, right?
No.
No,
What
it's
I've
just
seen
like
predominantly on Twitter, the major accounts that promote this that are going this whole
Oh, I'm not going
genes
to cry,
means
Rusty
Nazi,
Nail. I'm
this
just
shit.
like, what the fuck?
They are actually leftist race
the-
baiters. I
The
can
ones who are
give you
talking about it the most are going to be leftists, is what you're saying.
no, not specifically leftists.
the ones complaining about
Leftist
it.
race baiters, Ryan.
The ones complaining about it.
So,
not
do you
just
agree
out
that
of the
there's a
people
difference
talking
between a
about it.
leftist and a leftist race baiter? That not
Okay,
every leftist is
what
a
I'm
race
pointing out is
baiter.
there's probably a lot more people who are talking about leftists being upset about it than there are leftists being upset about it.
yeah, but
I don't know.
Andrew's
I don't
right
That's
know.
though.
not what
Andrew,
I said, bro.
yeah,
That's
like
not
hold
what I
on,
said.
Andrew's.
I know, I said
Andrew's,
a different thing, Andrew. I don't have to respond exactly to everything you say personally.
So then it
Yeah,
has
but,
nothing to do with what I said.
I believe that your sentiment is legitimate. I don't know where Ryan and Zoe land on this, but I do think that there are people that see the situations going on with this. They look at the discourse that is possible and then seize on that opportunity. Is that what you're trying to say, Andrew? In a variation of what you're saying?
No, here's what I'm saying specifically.
Gotcha.
Right?
I'm
I'll just caveat it. Simple.
Sure.
While it is the case that there's all sorts of people talking about this left and right, the people who are pushing the end of this, that this is part of a Nazi propaganda campaign for fat. We were just reviewing a ton of TikToks on it earlier. A bunch of dumb women, bunch of dumb 40 to 50-year-old ugly women, by the way, who are all bitching that it was all part of some Nazi campaign because they use the word jeans and jeans. They use this crazy ass. So what a crazy thing to use this play on words. Nobody ever thought of that before.
Do you think that there's
the Twitter accounts who are pushing this that I find who are leftists? Also, if you go through their tweets, what do you find? Shitloads of race baiting. It's almost always race baiting on those major accounts. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me a bit.
Do you think that there's like, because here's my read. I think that those accounts that you're describing are kind of doing too much, where you can say that like, oh, there might be some coded language in this ad, but to go as far to say that it's Nazi propaganda, to go as far as to say that it's no different. Sorry, Yahtzee, I'm sorry, sir. Like to go so far to say it's pointing to like old school German iconography and stuff like that. That's kind of like a bridge too far. That's kind of where I'm at. Where
It doesn't have to be coded language either. It's just it's a play on words.
There's actually just nothing wrong with saying it.
Yeah.
There's
Sure.
just nothing literally wrong with this chick saying, I have good jeans and I'm wearing good jeans. There's just nothing
None
wrong.
of us are saying there's anything wrong with it, by the way.
Then what's the controversy?
But at the same time,
Who's mad about the ad?
Hold on.
What's the
You guys
controversy
agreed.
about
I'm
it?
just
You
gonna
guys
every
agreed.
time you guys do this, I'm just gonna start reading super chats because
Okay.
they want to be heard too. Adolf actually wanted to preserve diversity. He wrote about it in his book. He found it disgraceful when languages and tribes were dissolved.
Yeah, but to push on that, he also made it explicitly clear that you had to be subservient in some. I'm using subservient because it's the best word I can use right now. But you give special treatment and special care to the Aryan identity
he had an
at the
in-group.
expense.
Sure.
Yeah,
there
it
was
ain't-
yeah. All the
like-
Nazis had in groups. Yes, the fascists had in groups. Communists had in groups. All of them had in groups. America also at the time, by the way, had in groups. You couldn't be black and be part of them. Okay, or Indian and be part of them. That was, was by the way,
can I
the
build-
whole-
No one
in the
argued
1940s.
against
I don't know
that.
what to tell you.
No one,
No,
no
but can
one
we
was
build on that?
arguing that there was
right.
racism in America.
But Andrew actually has a point that is kind of important, right? Where if you are a society that said no blacks, and that was America for not that it's not we're not that far removed from the
Jim Crow.
noble, yeah, like the no blacks. Like that's within my family's generation. That's like my grandparents. And then basically society has the task of going, well, if we have to include blacks, how do we include them? And then there are a bunch of different answers to that. I will say that over the past like 5 to 6 years, there has been a push of saying like, hey, you know, in our media spaces, we don't really see a lot of, for lack of a better term, black people, for lack of a better term, non-white people in different roles. That could be things like in modeling, that could be things in acting, superheroes, what have you. And I will say that I think there was an overcorrection. I think that there was a company's desires of not seeing that, oh, we ought to include these people in these spaces. I think they were just like, yeah, this is kind of profitable. Like, let's put some black people in this. It's going to make us money. It's going to tap into a particular base of people who might want to buy our products, even though we don't necessarily give a shit about them. And I think in part what's happened, especially in the advent of Donald Trump, is that basically people kind of said like, no, fuck that. We don't want to, like, we're not saying fuck that insofar as we hate black people and we hate minorities, but fuck that. And that we see that you're trying to do this sort of racial readjustment, and this racial readjustment is making people angry, and you don't care about who you make angry, but we're just going to keep driving that. And I think things like Sydney Sweeney's ad, I think things like kind of to an extent Superman, but not completely, are pointing to that, like, hey, you know, we can also have white people and all the ideas that white people may contain in these spaces as well, and they can be in harmony with all these other groups of people. And
I would just, well, what I would add to though is there's maybe a point that you're missing here, which is there used to be mass vilification of non-white people on TV. That was
sure,
a big
Absolutely.
portion of
Disney,
of early
right?
American
Like,
history.
yeah.
Right?
Did you know that?
Yeah,
yeah. But the
Can you
thing
demonstrate it?
the thing, yes, actually I can. Would
Do
you
you have a
like me
primary
to?
source? Can you give me a
Oh
primary?
yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
no,
think
like,
primary
so I can
sources,
give, I can give an,
yes,
I mean, like to,
No, yeah,
yeah,
but
like the
I need
point.
you to get it right now.
We all know. I'm
Support,
just
yes.
speaking.
Before we
Okay,
move
okay,
on,
gotcha.
let's
Yeah.
stop
So,
talking and
like,
give me a
anyway,
primary
yes, I
source.
don't.
No,
I
not
don't
Andrew.
make
I give me
claims
the
against
primary
support.
source right now, Andrew.
Okay.
No, damn it,
do
I
you
want
want?
to.
Would
Just
you
want
like
this man to
the?
win.
I
This
would like the
play.
primary
the
source
history?
for vilification
Yeah,
of
yeah,
black
I will
people
as soon
on
as I'm
TV.
done talking to Joe Lewis
No,
here.
no,
So,
no, 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 not
yeah,
done talking.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
no,
So
we can't move
anyway,
on from
We're
this
gonna we're gonna have an
point. We
hour-long
have to
conversation
establish
about
it.
this
We have
now.
to establish
Joe
it,
Lewis.
Andrew, before you
Anyway,
can move
so
on
I'm
from that
back to
point,
Joe
because you're
Lewis.
building an argument
Stop
on fake
filibustering.
axioms.
Stop.
Why was
This message is sponsored in part by.
Anyway,
you,
it's just
Sarah.
filibustering.
Oh, that was you.
why was their ass? Where
I'm
did
not
the
gonna say it
ass
again.
come from?
Okay, listen, everybody's really excited to get their words in, but we have to do this in a very mindful, civil, respectable, to some degree way. You're all adults. I shouldn't be putting on the babysitter gloves already. It's a little too early for that, but let's be just fucking be me.
Okay.
Like, okay.
So easy, right?
Wait,
So
I'm bored. I want to go.
Joe Lewis agreed with my
Goodbye.
premise. The
Thank you
guy
for
I'm
having me on,
arguing
Sarah.
with.
Charlie, thank you for joining.
I don't
Bye.
care.
It's good. I had fun.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
see you later,
everyone.
Charlie.
Charlie's.
I
Charlie,
don't
did you
actually
wanna
care
give
if soy
any-
pill
Hold
does.
on. Charlie, did you want to give any final thoughts before you go? Are you heading out?
Yes, I have no final thoughts. I hope Sydney Sweeney is okay. She was crying on the internet. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Charlie.
Thank you for
All right,
having
Charlie,
me
have a
on.
good one now, all right?
What the fuck? What the hell? What? What just happened?